them in 1 second. Let me just get my once my videos have begun, then I'll do that while I'm talking. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Give me 1 moment. Put your locations in the comments, everybody, as y'all are coming in. We will get started in a few while we build. And we get our new toy prepared. Right, keep those over there. You hold these. You hold these. I don't want them to fall on the floor.
There you go.
All right. Sit back and move your chair up.
You can't put that in your mouth.
I'm just holding it there because I need to use it. And then we'll open this and we'll put the batteries inside. Okay.
I'll put the batteries. No. One of the batteries inside, but I will play with it.
I'll do that. You're not. Your hands are too small for it. Let me do it. As y'all coming in, give me your locations in the comments, and we'll get started in a moment. Let's make sure we're live everywhere we're supposed to be live. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Can you say good morning to Rumble on YouTube? You don't have to. Okay. Good morning on Rumble. Good morning, YouTube. We are live on. It tells me we're live on X. Let me verify that. Yes, we are live on X. We are live on LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn and X and Rumble and YouTube is at Dre All Day. For those of you who use those, we are live on Facebook. Facebook/Work on Your Game University for Facebook users. We are live there. What is that? What is it?
Something that goes on there.
Music track is what it says. Loving Family Music Track. And we are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin, live on TikTok at Work on Your Game. The topic here today, government shutdown is over. Give me your locations in the comments. As y'all are coming in, tell me your locations in the comments. I'll shout a few people out and we will get started. I am building this music track that my son's going to play with. We saw this in the mall. Where'd you get this from? Where'd you get this?
I didn't get it.
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Well, who got it and where did they get it?
Mommy got it.
Where'd she get it from?
She bought it.
From where?
For Amazon.
From Amazon?
Yeah. We have to see.
Okay, this makes a lot of noise. Okay, now this is without the noise. Okay, so we can do this. We can just do it without the noise. Give me your locations in the comments, folks. Let me put the track on first. Let's put the track on first.
Yeah?
Where's the box? So we can see what it's supposed to look like. Can you give me the box? I need the box because I need to know what this is supposed to look like.
But I don't want the box.
All right, well, we have to figure out what this is supposed to look like. So this is 4. That's 3. This is 6 and 5. So I guess this is supposed to connect to this, but that doesn't make sense, does it? Give me your locations in the comments, folks. We can get started in a minute. 4 is supposed to connect to 5. I don't see how these connect. Maybe they just go next to each other. I think maybe they just go next to each other.
It's supposed to go rainbow steps. Green,
It's supposed to go where?
blue, orange.
Let me see.
It's like this.
It's not the steps that I'm concerned with, it's the track. You got to make sure the track connects the way it's supposed to connect. And when we get the track to connect, then the rest of it will make sense of itself. So that's what we got to figure out is the track. Give me the locations in the comments, folks, as I'm getting my son's new toy organized here. So this is supposed to go down, not up. So one, we need instructions. We need instructions for these toys these days. So let's see. 5 goes there, 4 goes there, 3 goes there. So which one is 3? So this is 5. This one is 4. And this one is 3. So 3 goes on the back of it, and it's turned up like this. And it comes around the side. So I guess it goes like
here.
Yeah, it goes there. We're trying to figure out where it goes and how it fits. Okay, there it is. So this piece goes like this. I'm thinking. Wait a minute.
No.
Wait. So this goes in. It wraps around. Should wrap around the right side of it like this. Okay. Wait, turn it off. I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh.
Okay, so this piece, and then 3 connects to. Wait. 3 connects to piece number 4, which is this one. And 4 goes.
But the back.
Goes like this. These toys are confusing. Give me your locations in the comments, folks. We're gonna get started in 1 minute. I'll shout people out and put their locations in a minute. Let's see if we can get this toy assembled. It already works. We just need it assembled properly. Where does this go? 2. I guess 2 and 3 connect. That would make sense, right? Number 2 and number 3. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so now we got number 2 and number 3 connected. Now, it goes through the middle. There's a little hole in the middle. Now it's making sense. So it goes through this little hole in the middle.
Yay!
Okay, now we figured it out. So now 5 goes. Wait.
In the middle.
5 goes. Oh, and it brings it right back to the beginning. So it's a little loop. There's a loop, and then the toys just keep going around and around and around. So are you just going to watch this like a fish tank? Is that what you're going to do?
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't have to do anything. Once you put the toys on there, they just move by themselves. That's what you want to do? That's the plan? Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's see. Wait, not done. All right, now let's test it out.
Okay.
All right, let's test it out. That music cannot happen. Put one of them on there. Let's see what it does. No, at the bottom. Let's see, folks, if Daddy figured this out.
Ta-da!
Well, let's see. You got to go all the way around. Let's see if it works.
Whee!
I did it. I figured it out. All right, so now you put more of your. You do it over here. Put them over there. All right, give me your locations in the comments, folks. We just finished building the music track, and the penguins are moving. Hopefully, that's not too much noise for those of y'all over there. That sound is going to keep going as long as it keeps this thing running. We are talking about the government shutdown being officially over. But we got to figure out something with that. That is a little bit too much noise. Let me see. Let's put it on top of this paper towel. Maybe that noise will. Against the table is making a little bit too much noise. We need something soft that can mitigate this noise. This is too much.
No, that much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Really?
Wait a minute, buddy.
All of this noise. This noise is fun.
We'll put this here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now we can work. Again, locations in the comments, everybody, so we can get into this. All right, that we can work with. So let's see. Girls Fly, good morning. Kalamazoo, Michigan, in the house over there on Instagram. Let me scroll back up here. 140.6 Walnut Creek, California. Good morning to you. Irma V, good morning. Annie AFF from Kentucky. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Irma, thank you for the hand hearts early on. Maddie, number 2, gift of bass. Congrats. Courtney, good morning. Linda Gale checking in from St. Louis. Dwayne, Detroit is in the house. Courtney from Nashville. Leah, good morning. Giga Dad, good morning. North Carolina. ENGD, Trenton, New Jersey. Shout out to Trenton. Tifton, Georgia. Leah. Cheryl from Vermont. Jolly Red Silver from Texas. Leah, thank you for the lightning bolt, 150 lightning bolts. Philly Viv said we need more fathers like you. Well, I appreciate it. L. Johnson checking in from Jersey. 46 degrees. It's not bad. Johnny Davis said on basketball, let's get that one-on-one series, different ballers from around the world. I don't play basketball anymore. You too late for that. You got to get some other players. Philly Viv checking in from Miami Springs. Joan Jordan, good morning from New York. Karina, thank you for the You're Awesome Wifey tips. Good morning. Leah, thank you for the You're Awesome. Courtney, the Heartney. Carla, Indiana, good morning. Carla said the toy matches your tie. That was not planned, but I appreciate it. I didn't know this toy existed until my son pulled it out. This one is turned the wrong way. This one. Get it back on track, you see?
But the other people are not going without some pretty movies.
Yeah, you're right. You're not going. You're right. You're right about that. Jennifer Schinderling from Kansas City, Missouri. Karina, yeah, I figured it out. Tamwell, Porterville, California. Billy W., appreciate it. Christian, Nebraska. Happiness Now, ATL. Elizabeth Webb said the tie matches the toy. Again, I did not know this toy existed. My son pulled this out of a closet that has some toys in it that I don't know about. Carla said tap the screen. Yeah, tap the screen, everybody. Please tap the screen. Leah, everyone tap, share it alive. Billy W. said our hero. Elizabeth Webb, ATL. Jay Rocker from Delaware, good morning. Monica Meacham, North Carolina. Jolly Red Silver from Texas. Scott Young, good morning. Kuya Binya, shout out Manson, North Carolina. LDG, Minnesota. Go, Mississippi. TV20 from Wyoming. Tora from Wyoming. Christian NRG from Nebraska. Echoes 9711. Good morning. Monica said, who's my sidekick today? I only got one sidekick. You only seen one person as a sidekick. This one is falling off. They're off track. You got to fix that. The red one, too. The red one is off. Yeah, you're so good at fixing it. Nurse J said you on early. This is early. 8 o'clock every day. 8 a.m. Eastern is the same time every day. And this noise, we're just going to have to deal with for now. This noise is, we don't let it sit for as long as it sits. You going to sit here with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, until it's time for breakfast, I think he's going to sit here with me. So I don't know why these keep stalling out. Why does it keep stalling? Why are these stopping? No, you keep working. So
I can push them so they can keep moving.
Yeah, they're not supposed to stop. They should just be going without stopping. That's what I'm wondering why they keep stopping right here. They should just keep going without stopping.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know why they're stopping. They're supposed to just keep going.
If I push them, they keep going.
Right, but they should keep going without pushing them. See how they're going without you pushing them? So it should go like that. I think you might just have so many on there that they slow down. So the government shutdown is officially over. Government shutdown is officially over. We knew that there was a tentative deal in place about 2 days ago. It officially got signed. I think yesterday might not have been official business day. And the government said it was Veterans Day. But they officially got it signed yesterday. Now, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, which was Veterans Day, which was what, Tuesday? Whatever day Veterans Day was, but I think it was Tuesday. So they weren't able to get official business done that day. They got it done yesterday. Now it's officially over. So November 12th ended it. That was yesterday. The longest funding lapse in U.S. history was that 43-day shutdown. Republicans refused what actually happened. They refused the Democrats' demand to extend ACA subsidies. The ACA is also known as Obamacare, or spelled out is the, you got to push them forward, the Affordable Care Act that Obama got passed during his term. The Democrats wanted some extended subsidies of the ACAA. The Republicans said no. Then the Democrats refused to pass a clean CR. CR is a continuing resolution. In other words, it's basically a temporary agreement so that we don't have to shut down the government. The Democrats wouldn't let that happen. So any Democrat or Republican telling you that the shutdown was just because of the Democrats or just because of the Republicans, logically that makes no sense, because if it was just because of one side, then there wouldn't be a shutdown, because then the other side would just do whatever they want. So the shutdown was because of both of them. And the public suffered through airport chaos, SNAP disruptions, that's food stamps, people not getting their money. Y'all know what the airport is. unpaid federal workers, people simply not getting their checks. You'll know what that means.
Huh?
And delayed economic
They're
data.
not going.
Yeah, so you got to keep pushing, but don't yell out and interrupt my live stream. Okay, so you can play with that. Just don't make too much noise. That's already making enough noise. And delayed economic data.
I'm getting tired of pushing those.
Yeah, that's why they're not supposed to be stopping. See how they're not stopping when there's one. When there's a bunch of them at the same time, that's when they get slowed down. So I think you're getting a traffic jam of your penguins. That's what it looks like. It's like a traffic jam. When there's no traffic jam, there's no problem. You see? Now they're moving slowly, but they're moving. Might be the blue ones. No, that's the red one. So I don't know. No, the red one is slowing down too. Something happening right at that spot.
Oh no! Now there's a lot of them.
Yeah, you might have to take a couple of them out and see if that solves the problem.
I don't want to do that.
Okay. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's your toy. And delayed economic data, which means we don't even have all the jobs data from the last 2 months because people who work there haven't put out the data.
What?
Maybe Trump doesn't want the data to come out. We don't know. Yes.
What?
If it gets paused, take out the one that's pausing it and then see if that fixes it. I think that might be the
This
problem.
one? This one or this one?
I don't know. You might have to introduce them back in one at a time. They call that an elimination diet. You put in one at a time, then you see where the problem starts. That one is stuck.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, so if you see them get stuck, take out whatever one is in the front. Wait, let them go through by themselves first. Hey, take that out. Take that blue one off. Take that off. Let them all run through without the blue ones first. And if it runs smoothly, then you know the problem is one of the blue ones. It's what we call isolating the variable. So we got to isolate the problem. Now you see with the red ones, they're all running smooth. So it must be one of the blue ones that's causing the problem. You see all those red ones are running smooth? Yeah, so that means it must be the blue ones.
It's ice.
It's ice?
Yeah, blue is ice,
Yeah.
but red is fire.
That's right. Now one of the blue ones is the problem because the red ones are working perfectly. You see?
Yeah.
Wait, leave it on. Leave it. And see, now it's still running. Now wait, one at a time. Let that one go all the way through that blue one and see if it's still working fine. If it is, then you put another blue one in. And then you keep doing one at a time until you find out which one is causing the problem. Now that one just caused the problem. That blue one, take it out. Now see the whole thing stopped. Now the final bill funds the government, the one that they agreed to. Yeah, so you got to introduce them back in one at a time. Don't put them all in at the same time. One at a time.
What?
No, just one, and let it go all the way through. So this final bill has funded the government only until January 30th. So that means we have the rest of this month. Let's say that's 2 weeks. All of December and most of January. So we got about 60, 75 days before this might happen all over again, by the way. So this only gave you 75 days of temporary relief. It does include back pay. So all the people who didn't get their money is going to get their paychecks. It reverses all Trump's layoffs. So everybody who got laid off goes back to work. And it contains controversial riders that instantly set off anger on both sides. So this is what compromise looks like. Nobody's going to be 100% happy. So the shutdown is technically over, but the political scars are fresh and deep, and there's still going to be some disagreements here. AOC and many other people in Congress had negative things to say about what got agreed to on both sides of the political aisle. So let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks, and run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our main focus these days is what we call the power of presence. It's all about how you dominate the 85% of communication that is nonverbal so that the job is done, the deal is done, the money is made, the yes is acquired before you ask a question, before you say a single word, and that you leave an imprint on people even if you don't talk to them. All of this is, again, we call this the power of presence protocol. We have a whole program based around this. If you want to learn more about that, click the link in my profile or send a text to the number in my profile with the word power. Text the word power to my number 305-384-6894 and we'll send you a link that has more information about how to learn about getting into that program, whether you want to join our challenge the next time we have it, or you want to get into the mastermind where you have me as your personal coach. That is all at powerpresenceprotocol.com. Mark Vasquez over on YouTube. So your TikTok's not working, but you're here either way. So I appreciate it. So, okay, be a little bit quieter, please. Okay. Republicans prevented Democrats from winning this ACAA subsidy extension. That was their top priority. So the top priority for the Republican side was they don't like Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act. They don't like it. They don't want to extend any subsidies. In other words, they are trying to get rid of it as quickly as possible and take away as much of it as possible. They want to chop away at it and basically beat up Obamacare as quickly as possible. And whatever they have to do to beat up Obamacare, they'll do it. And one of the ways that they try to do it was use this government shutdown to basically take away that access to as many people as possible as quickly as they possibly can. So this is the win for the Republicans because the final CR excluded these key provisions that the Democrats are holding out for. So
how did they all stop?
Part of the reason that this shutdown occurred is because the Democrats were holding out to extend the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. And the Republicans said no. The Democrats said, well, we're not agreeing to anything until you do. 43 days later, the Republicans got their way. That is what happened. In part. That's not the whole story, but that's part of the story. So this allowed the GOP to claim that they did not concede on the Affordable Care Act, which is true. They kind of did not. And a lot of people are happy about that because a lot of people don't like Obamacare. Some people are mad about it because Obamacare was designed to grant health care to all Americans. That sounds good. But again, whether it's coming from Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or anyone else, the United States government does not have the resources to give things away at no cost. Everything has a cost. How many of you have seen your health care costs go up in the last year? Give me a yes or a no in the comments if you've seen your health care costs go up in the last year. Any of you seen your healthcare costs go up? Okay, so those of you who are saying yes, this is the trade-off of Obamacare. Obamacare said we're going to give healthcare to everybody. He didn't say it was going to be cheap. He didn't say it was going to be free. And he didn't say it's not going to cost you something. All he said was he's going to give it to you. But the thing is, government can't give you things. The government ain't got nothing. So Obamacare has a cost. And a lot of people don't like the cost of Obamacare, even though it may have done some good. There's also a cost. There are no free lunches. That's the third law of economics, ladies and gentlemen, especially coming from the damn government. Government cannot give you a free lunch. And if the government is giving you a free lunch, you probably don't want to eat it. That's the way I look at it. That's my rule when it comes to government free lunches. Now, most Americans blame Trump and Republicans for this shutdown's pain because the Republicans are the ones in charge of the government right now. Or they're the ones, not necessarily in charge, but they're the ones who have the leverage in the government right now because they control both sides of Congress. And the president is a Republican. So framing wise, I understand why they get the blame. Now, polling showed that majorities faulted the GOP for airport delays, for the SNAP issues, and for the federal worker hardship. And I don't have a problem with them faulting the GOP for this because they are the ones in charge, and trade-off of being in charge is that people are going to blame you for everything that goes wrong under your leadership, even if you technically are not responsible for it. The penalty of leadership is everything falls back on you. So the Republicans get this blame and they deserve it. Now, Trump can argue that he forced Democrats to abandon their demands and reopen the government. And technically, he would be correct. This would be a framing move by Donald Trump, and he's not lying. He and the rest of the Republicans did get the Democrats to abandon one of the things that they wanted. And he framed this compromise as the Democrats gave up their wish list after 43 days. And again, he ain't wrong. Did the Democrats give up their wish list? Yes, they gave up their wish list because they wanted that ACA stuff. That they didn't get it. And Democrats, at the same time, they can argue that they got some wins because they're going to leverage this against Donald Trump going into 2026 in whatever way they can, specifically those 2026 midterm elections, which are less than a year away now. So that's just something to keep in mind between now and then. Now, Republicans reversed Trump's own mass layoff orders. So Trump laid off a bunch of people. Those people are getting their jobs back. And for fiscal year 2025, those people are going to get paid. Now, MAGA hardliners see this as the establishment watering down Trump's agenda because Donald Trump has done some things to cut costs in the government. Donald Trump being known as this billionaire genius businessman, he is trying to cut down costs, and he didn't quite get that done in this process. So some MAGA hardliners, these are hardcore Trump supporters that want Trump to do every single thing he said he was going to do in full, not in part, no compromises, no going back on anything you said you were going to do, all promises made, all promises kept. Trump couldn't quite do this at 100% level. You can't do that in the government. People have to understand about the government, and this gets used against Donald Trump often. It should not be, but it does. Is that in the government, there's a system of checks and balances. No one in the government can just unilaterally do anything that they want to do. The system is designed that way such that no one has absolute power up to and including the president and Congress and the courts, everybody. Nobody has absolute power. So Donald Trump tends to frame the things that he says as if he has absolute power, as if anything he says is just going to happen just because he said it. That's just framing by Donald Trump. In a literal sense, he does not have that power. He logically and rationally and constitutionally cannot just do stuff. He has to get agreement and compliance.
That's
yes.
a little loud.
Yeah, that's your toy. Making all that noise. No, turn that music off.
No.
Turn the music off.
No. I like it.
Okay, it can run, but not the music. You want it to be on, but no music, you put it here. But no music. So Donald Trump frames things as if just because Donald Trump, said it is going to happen. That's just, again, him just playing to a little bit to his ego, but a little bit mostly to his brand and also to his base. Telling his base, hey, I'm going to solve this problem for you. The thing is, sometimes he can get it solved. Huh? Are you leaving?
Yeah, because I'm tired of sitting here.
Okay. Fair enough. I understand you.
Well,
Can you take this and put it in the trash, please?
No.
Put this in the trash.
No.
Okay. All right. So any of you thought that noise was too much? Now the noise has stopped, at least temporarily. So Donald Trump will frame it as if he's just going to do stuff. He still has to get cooperation from other aspects of the government in order to get things done. And then when he does, he can say, hey, everybody, I got it done. And if he can't get it done, then his opponents can use it against him and say, well, Donald Trump said he was going to do A, B, C. He didn't do it. So these things, these MAGA hardliners, they want Donald Trump to follow through on all of his stuff and just be a hardliner, basically be a hard ass with the other MAGA supporters who are not hardliners, who may be a little bit hesitant to follow his agenda, and to just wage war against the Democrats who are resisting him and trying to fight against him and not try to compromise. The reality is, in the government, if you're going to get anything done, you have to, on some level, be able to get participation from people on the other side of the aisle. So you have to be able to negotiate a little bit, compromise on some things. Hey, you do this for me right here. I'll do this for you on the other side. This is the way politics works. So you have to be that courtier working in this court here to make things work. This is what most politicians do. This is politics as usual in the United States. And that means there's always trade-offs. This means sometimes the people, the citizens, are not going to get everything that they want or everything that they need. This is just the design of the system. This design of human nature. This is the design of life. Donald Trump coming into the government and being a hardliner and saying, I'm going to do all these things. And a bunch of people in politics saying, well, you can't just do those things. And him saying, well, I'm going to do it anyway. This is the reason why he gets so much pushback, even from people on the Republican side, because he doesn't come in and doing the normal political thing. All politicians get up on the soapbox and say all the stuff that they're going to achieve. But then when they get off the soapbox, they try to figure out how do we negotiate this and make it work. And then once they get into governing, they strike a more conciliatory tone to try to get the other side to work with them. You've seen this with Barack Obama. You've seen it with Biden. You will see it with Zohran Mamdani. I mean, everything sounds good in their winning speeches, but it's a whole different game when you got to actually get things done. The thing with Donald Trump is he gets into talking once he wins and he keeps saying the same stuff. Now, I don't think he's like that in person with everybody. From what I've heard, he's not, but he keeps doing this. And then his opponents have to sling mud back at him because a lot of politics, I've told you all many times, politics is about optics. It's about how it looks. It's not about what's actually true. It's about what it looks like. So Donald Trump having the style that he has and using social media in a way that no politician has before him, has everybody else playing the same game as him, which shows you how much he controls the frame of politics. So they didn't want him watering down his agenda, but he has to water it down because there's no way he can do all the stuff that's in, for example, all the stuff that's in Project 2025, whether you think that's Trump's plan or not. Even if he wanted to do it all, only way he can get any of those things done is he has to get some Democrats to agree with the plan. And there's no way the Democrats are going to agree with everything in that plan, which is how Project 2025 can never be fully implemented, simply because you need Democratic cooperation, and they're not going to get it on every single one of those points. It's just impossible. So any of you saying Donald Trump is just implementing Project 2025, we told y'all, not really. It's impossible for him to implement Project 2025 for reasons that I just explained. Kamala Harris. Now, bipartisan cooperation emerged because 8 Democrats in the Senate, 8 Democrats, crossed the aisle for this vote to hit 60 votes. So let me see if I can find out who these 8 Democrats were, because I did not get that context. But 8 Democrats did cross the line and find out who, and we're going to see if we can find out who they were, because some Democrats, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was not one of the Democrats who crossed the line. She's not even a senator. She's a representative, but she might be running for Senate soon. She doesn't run for president. She's going to run for a bigger job. I think she is very ambitious politically, and I think she has a chance to move up. I think she can become a senator. So the 8 Senate Democrats and 1 independent who basically meets with the Democrats, they crossed the party lines for this to work. So we talked about this yesterday. I told y'all that cloture is when, let me back up. In the Senate, you have 100 senators, 50 states, 2 senators every state. Regardless of the size, every state gets 2 senators. If you want to get something done, you need to get a majority. First of all, a majority, but then you got to get some people to come across. You need about 60. If you have a majority, but you don't have 60s, if you got 51, but not 60, you got 59, but not 60, then the side that is weaker, let's say you have 59 versus 41. 59 people want to do something. 41 senators don't want to do something. The 41 senators who don't want to do it, any one of them can use what we talked about yesterday called the filibuster. The purpose of the filibuster is to give the weakened side, the losing side, an opportunity to slow things down that they don't want to happen, even though they don't really have the power of the votes. They don't have the majority on their side. And we talked yesterday about possibly ending the filibuster. Not us. We can't end it, but the Senate actually ending the filibuster. Generally, I don't think it's a good idea. But there's a way to eliminate the impact of the filibuster, which is when you have at least 60 votes. So if there's 100 people in the Senate. If you have at least 60 people all agreeing on something, the filibuster cannot be invoked. That's when you get cloture. Cloture. Cloture means you have at least 60. That majority means the filibuster can't be used to slow it down. And the only way you get cloture is you got to get 60 votes. Usually there's not 60 Republicans nor 60 Democrats in the Senate. Usually there's a mix in between to where you have to get either side, even if they have the majority. Right now, the Republicans had a majority of 53 to 47. Even then, when you have a majority but not enough for cloture, you have to get some Democrats to agree with your plan in order to move things forward. That's what happened. So what happened in order for this to get cleared is 8 Democrats had to cross the line, and they had to agree with the Republicans' proposal in order for the filibuster to be basically superseded, and they were able to move forward. That's the reason that the shutdown ended. Now, these 8 senators are Catherine Cortez Masto, not to be confused with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is from Nevada. Dick Durbin from Illinois. John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire. Tim Kaine from Virginia. Angus King from Maine. Jackie Rosen from Nevada. And Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire. So 2 Democrats from New Hampshire. So the Senate in New Hampshire has both of their senators are Democrats. Maggie Hassan and Jean Shaheen, both of them crossed the line, and they went along with the Republicans' plan, and that's the reason why this was able to get done. They had to get some Democrats to come across. So this move broke the gridlock and allowed the Senate to advance the CR despite deep polarization. Now, the obvious question that I have is, why didn't these 8 senators just cross the line 43 days ago so we could have avoided the shutdown in the first damn place? That's my question. Why did it take 43 days for you to cross the line? Why didn't you just cross the line back then? There never would have been a shutdown. Well, there's a good answer to that question. I'm going to theorize on that answer, which is there had to be some negotiation. That what was on the table 43 days ago is not the exact same thing that was agreed to yesterday. So it had to be negotiated a little bit. It had to be massaged a little bit. There had to be some concessions given on both sides in order for this to happen. And there are some other things that happen, wink, wink, conversational deals that are not on paper that maybe a Democrat, one of these Democratic senators, let's say this was Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine was Wasn't Tim Kaine Hillary Clinton's running mate in 2016? Is that the same guy? So Tim Kaine or John Fetterman, who he gets a lot of flack from Democratic voters because he often agrees with the Republicans. So imagine the horror of a Democrat agreeing with a Republican. So a lot of people don't like him because of that. He might have said something like, look, I'll agree with you on this. Hey, who's a Republican senator? I'll agree with you, Republicans, on this one, but I need you to help me, John Fetterman, out. Next time I need something done on this thing, I need you to come across and help me out. I'm going to help you out now. You help me out later. That's not a contract. It's just a conversation that is had. And they say, okay, I'll go with you. You go with us on this. I'll help you later out on that. This is the way politics works. A lot of it is just word of mouth, patting each other on the back conversation. It's not just the stuff that we know about that gets announced in the news. So this is how they were able to break the gridlock. They got 8 Democrats to come across, and these 8 Democrats who came across, I'll already tell you what's going to happen. They're going to get demonized by a bunch of Democrat voters just because they, again, committed the original sin of agreeing with the Republicans, especially Republicans under a Trump administration. So pay attention to that. Now, progressives accuse the Democratic leadership of folding without securing real wins. This is what I mentioned. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, she is not a senator. She is a House of Representatives member. She gave a speech in Congress yesterday. Y'all can find it online, and there are clips of it out there. And she said that Congress is paying itself while cutting help from the poor. So this is the frame that AOC is creating, that there are people in Congress who are going to make money off of the agreement that was agreed to, while at the same time there are poor people in America who don't have food and don't have money. The problem with this frame is not necessarily about whether she's telling the truth or not factually. She might be, she might not be, I don't know. It doesn't even matter. The frame that she's using is Congress is doing anything that she doesn't want Congress to do, while at the same time there are poor people in America who don't have food and don't have money. The reason why there's a problem with this frame is that there will always be people in America who don't have food and don't have money, no matter what happens in Congress. Even if Congress does something that she wants them to do, guess what, Sandy? There will always be people who don't have food and don't have money. Congress does something that you hate, Alexandria. There will be people who don't have food and don't have money. Congress does something that you love. There will be people who don't have food and don't have money. So using the frame of you're doing X while people don't have food and there are poor people in America is a false frame, because you can always use that frame to emotionally blackmail anyone against any action that they want to take or any action that they have taken. This is a clever political maneuver by AOC. It is not based in rationality. It is not based in logic, but it does work because there are a bunch of people in America who either are poor and are looking at the government to help them out. Bad idea, but they believe it. And or they are these bleeding heart people who want the poor to be helped, and they feel emotionally strained at trying to help the poor, even though they are incapable. So they're calling on the government to do it. So when someone in the government, like AOC, makes a ploy like this, or they make a plea like this, it makes it sound like she is one of the few people in the government trying to help the everyday person, when all she's actually doing is giving a speech. She's not actually giving anything. She's just talking. And it sounds like she's the one who cares about the everyday person. This kind of stuff is what wins you elections. So even though I'm trashing it and I'm saying this is logically unsound, this is an empty vessel type of talk, this is exactly what wins political elections. This is the reason why I'm not in politics, because you have to talk like this all the time to win. And if you want to advance, you got to talk like this all the time. And AOC has mastered it. She has her great uncle, Bernie Sanders, teaching her. So she's learning from her great uncle every day by the fireside before she goes to bed. He's reading her bedtime stories. She is learning very well how to play this game. And she's going to play it in ways that maybe Bernie faltered at. Bernie's like, I'm 83, AOC. You can do what I didn't do. You're a third of my age. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. And she's playing the game. So I do not agree with the substance of her hustle, if you even want to call it substance. But at the same time, I cannot knock her hustle because I understand the game, and this absolutely works. So farmers, veterans, congressional staff, they get the benefit from full year funding. So some of the bills are going to fund everybody for the next year. And the CR, the continuing resolution, i.e. the temporary agreement, that only goes till January. But some of the things agreed to will provide funding for an entire year. Okay, so just make sure you understand those two ideas. There could be another shutdown in January, at the end of January next year. But some of the funding that was agreed to extends for the entire next year. Okay, just to make sure y'all understand that. So agriculture, the VA, and the legislative branch, they get stability through 2026 instead of facing another December crisis. So what that means is people in Congress still get paid. This is what AOC was referring to. This is partially what she was referring to. The legislative branch. The legislature is Congress. So we got three branches of government. You got the judicial, that's the Supreme Court, headed by the Supreme Court. The executive, headed by the president, and the legislature, headed by Congress. They get paid. All right, they're funded. But there might be another shutdown in January. So they're all getting paid for the next year. And again, I just taught them. I have to say it again. Now, the GOP legal fee reimbursement rider, this makes Congress look self-serving and corrupt. So what happened is this. Up to $1 million, $1 million per senator for subpoenaed Republicans appeared to be an insider payout hidden inside the shutdown bill. So this is, what was that guy's name in the movie? Dr. Evil. $1 million. $1 million per senator for those who were subpoenaed appeared to be an insider payout hidden in the shutdown bill. This is what AOC was talking about when she's saying they're getting paid. It wasn't the salaries. It was this $1 million payout that some of these people are getting. So this $1 million payout, let's see if we can get context on this and find out what this $1 million payout was that AOC was referring to. When I pull these things up, I usually go to Grok. Grok is pretty fast with current event context. So what this is, this item was buried in the shutdown and the continuing resolution in section 743 of the legislative branch appropriations portion. This is the only part of the bill that got full year funding. Only part of the government, that got full year funding. 8 Republican senators whose personal cell phone records were subpoenaed by special counsel Jack Smith. We remember Jack Smith? This is the guy that was going to put Donald Trump in jail last year, had Donald Trump not won that election. So special counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed the cell phone records of 8 Republican senators in that election interference investigation. They all are seeking to be reimbursed from the federal government for their private legal fees. Now, the cap on those legal fees, now understand they're only being reimbursed for legal fees. So I'm going to help y'all understand the context here. It's just a reimbursement. So it's not like they're getting paid. They're getting reimbursed for money that they had to spend to defend themselves against a bullshit charge that was going against Donald Trump. And they roped in a bunch of other Republican senators, basically trying to get as much as they could against Donald Trump. And some Republican senators got roped into this by special counsel Jack Smith. So the cap for the reimbursement is up to $1 million per senator. So any senator who spent $500K, they get their $500K paid back to them. If they spent $800,000, you get your $800,000 back. You spent $40, you get your $40 back. If you spent $1 million, you get $1 million back. If you spent more than $1 million, the most you can get back is $1 million. So you spent $1.5 million, you just lost $500,000, but you get your $1 million back. Now, these senators are not named in the bill, but everybody knows who they are. These senators were Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, Rick Scott from Florida, Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, Roger Marshall of Kansas, Josh Hawley of Missouri, John Neely Kennedy of Louisiana, and one more person, and people think it was either Lindsey Graham or Ted Cruz. They all get paid back money by the government for the fact that they even had to pay a lawyer based on that charge that Jack Smith was trying to drum up against Donald Trump. So a couple things here. First of all, those charges against Donald Trump were straight up lawfare. We all know this is the reason why they're paying these people back for their lawyer fees. Because if you got charged and there was a real reason to indict you or charge you with a crime, and then you ended up winning or the case got dropped, you don't get your money back. Okay, all right, good thing you had a lawyer, but the case is over. All right, see you later. You don't get your money back. They get their money back because this case was nonsense, as were the other 3 cases against Donald Trump in 2024. I've maintained that throughout ever since it happened. Now, here's how this happened. This got inserted quietly by Senate Republican leadership during the final closed-door negotiations. Democrats claimed they only discovered it after the vote when a 900-page bill was posted. Now, this is very important context. They say that this payback for those Republican senators got inserted quietly by Senate Republican leadership. They say this was John Thune's office during the final negotiations for this ending of the shutdown. That's what they say. It got inserted quietly. First of all, if you all are negotiating, how does something get inserted quietly? And secondly, this is what the Democrats said. They say they only found out that this was in the agreement after the vote when the bill was posted. So what is this telling us? Anybody understand what this is telling us? Anybody catch the context here? Somebody put in the comments if you understand what this is telling us. Because it's telling us something very important that all of you should understand about the government and about our legislature. There's one very important thing. Yes, T. Rich got it immediately. First thing, the very first thing that T. Rich said right there, you got it. They didn't read the fucking bill. They didn't read the agreement. They just signed it. That's what got proven. It just got proved that they didn't read it. They don't read these things. So when you all hear that Congress has agreed to something and that they're doing something, they're just agreeing to shit and they don't even know what it is. So actually it was a vote. They didn't actually, some of them probably didn't have a say because there was a bunch of Democrats who were against it, but they got overruled by the cloture because there was 60 people agreeing to it in the Senate. And this got passed and the bill, it got posted and the bill was 900 pages. 900 pages. This is the bills that get passed by the government. 900 pages. I'm not saying they're all that long. They're not. This is a very important one because it ended the government shutdown. So there's a lot of things that had to be agreed to. But who the hell put in the 900 pages, folks? You think people in the government are using Grok or Chat GPT or Perplexity? I think so. 900 pages? In 43 days, somebody might not be able to read a 900-page bill. So this is what they agreed to. And the Democrats said, well, we didn't know until the bill got posted. Wait a minute. Aren't you the one who's supposed to be making the laws and passing bills that become laws? And you're not knowing what's in these things and they're getting passed to the president's desk. They're being signed into law. I got to live under that law. And you, the person who we voted for to represent us, doesn't even know what's in it. There's a lie somewhere in here. Something ain't right. Something ain't smelling right in here. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? This is not passing the smell test. They didn't know what was in there until after it got posted. Posted where? To the internet? They found out when we found out. So this provision is retroactive. It uses the same mechanism that has long existed for reimbursing members of Congress for fees in official duty-related cases. So in other words, the reason they're able to get paid back is because they're claiming that they were subpoenaed for things that happened on their cell phones while they were actually doing their jobs. That's the reason why they're getting paid back. Not just because they got subpoenaed, but because they were doing their jobs. So they consider this a duty-related case. So Republicans argue the subpoenas were related to their official Senate duties, and that's why it qualifies. Now, AOC says this is self-dealing insider corruption. And Congress voting to have taxpayers, that's us, that's me and you, we're paying these senators personal legal bills while refusing to extend ACA subsidies that keep premiums low for working class families. I can understand this frame. And when we think about what happened in 2024, when I say the lawfare against Donald Trump, and it was indeed lawfare, whether you like Donald Trump or not, we can't argue whether those 4 cases against him were lawfare. They were lawfare. They were using the legal system to try to get Donald Trump. And while you may look at it and say, well, it was good, it was bad, it was entertaining, whatever you want to call it, that shit costs money. And we pay for that. Special counsel Jack Smith was being paid by us. Tish James, what's the other guy's name? Alvin Bragg, what's the chicken? Fannie Willis. Are they getting paid by our tax dollars? That's our money that's paying these people to even do the case. The time it takes for them to do the case, we are paying for. And anything that goes wrong in that case, if somebody has to be reimbursed, like these senators, up to $1 million, that's our money that we're paying them with. This is what happens within the government. So that's another reason why, if you had an issue with that lawfare in 2024, here's another reason to have an issue with it. Or your first reason, if you didn't have one, is that we had to pay for that. And they were trying to get this guy just so they didn't have to have a fair fight electorally. So let's see if we can get him legally. They failed to get him legally and they still lost electorally, and we paid for the whole thing. All right, that's what happened. So AOC's exact quote was, 8 senators are giving themselves over $1 million each while robbing Americans of food assistance and health care. How is this even on the floor? How can Congress enrich itself by stealing from the American people? This is a false frame. This is an appeal to emotion fallacy perpetrated by Mrs. Ocasio-Cortez. And I'll give her a sound from my soundboard once I get it fired up. Mrs. Ocasio-Cortez, she gets emotional, damn it. Because this is very clearly an appeal to emotion frame. She says the senators are giving themselves $1 million each. That's false. I just explained to you what they're being is reimbursed for money that they already spent, protecting themselves against a witch hunt of a legal case, all designed to stop a Republican candidate from running for president. So if AOC wants to be mad, what she should be mad at is the Biden administration and the Democrats who leveraged the DOJ to try to go after Donald Trump, because that's how this came to be. So that's the first logical fallacy here. And then she says they're robbing Americans of food assistance and healthcare. This is another appeal to emotion fallacy by AOC. Emotional, damn it. But she's saying that they're robbing Americans of food assistance and healthcare. No, this is a non sequitur. How is this a non sequitur? Because the money that's being given to these senators is coming out of a fund that is designed for this type of stuff. It's basically insurance that the government has in place just in case they got to pay out people. The government pays people out all the time. This has nothing to do with the food or healthcare that goes to the everyday American, because the United States of America gives out SNAP benefits to help people with food assistance. And we have the ACA for healthcare. It has nothing to do with this cash. This cash is a completely separate account. So this is a non sequitur by AOC.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Then she said, how is this even on the floor? So now she's just, this is the appeal to incredulity. Like, I can't even believe that this is happening. How is this even happening? How are we even having this conversation? She's saying that after she created a false frame. So that makes this a straw man argument.
Strawberry cheesecake.
I can't believe we're having this conversation if you accept my false frame that I've created for you. How can Congress enrich itself by stealing from the American people? Well, first of all, she's part of Congress, so she probably shouldn't have said it that way. And Congress is not enriching itself because, again, this is a reimbursement. So it's not like this is just money you're just paying me. It's not like some fee. This is money that you're paying back for money that I had to spend based on a lawfare case. Did AOC have anything negative to say about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the DOJ when they were going after Trump in 2024? Anybody hear any quotes about that? Anybody remember that? Can anybody refresh my memory? In 2024, did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have anything negative to say about the lawfare being perpetrated against Donald Trump? I don't think so. So if she didn't have a problem with that lawfare, now she has a problem with the lawfare costing the government money, then what she should have a problem with is the Biden administration, because they're the ones who started this entire sequence of events. But she didn't say anything negative about them. This is her playing a political game. I get it. And most people are only going to see the clip. Most people will not understand the context that I just explained to you. How many people do you know are going to go find out this context and find out what the hell she's talking about? They're just going to hear the clip. Oh, Republicans just got paid $1 million apiece. How they getting $1 million? And they got their way. And they're running the government. And Donald Trump's trying to be a king. All these people do is care about money. And is it going to seem like the Republicans are just robbing the American people if you don't get the context? This is why the context matters. This is why all of you need to get really good at being able to parse through the bullshit that these politicians say, because they all lie and they will all use emotions. The female politicians do it much better than the men do. They will use emotions to manipulate your logic and get you thinking that one thing is happening when something completely different is happening. And then they'll go argue about it as if their point must be accepted. And I just explained to you how what she said is complete bullshit. That's not how this even came from. And you're not stealing from the American people, because the American people, there's nothing that the government has that is owed to the American people. I've maintained this frame for a very long time. The United States government does not owe you food, clothing, and shelter. Now, if you are getting your food, clothing, and shelter from the United States government, you are in a precarious position that you want to get out of as quickly as possible. SNAP benefits, handouts from the government, needing Obamacare for your health care. These are not places you want to be in. I'm not saying that it's bad to have it if you got it and you need it in that moment, but your goal should be to get out from under it. Why? Because you got people like AOC determining your fate. Is that what you want? Have I just explained to you how she will manipulate and lie to you? What else do you think she's lying about? I'm just pointing out one. So this is legal under existing congressional rules, but the optics can look bad if, again, people don't understand what is happening. So ACA subsidies expire in 6 weeks at the end of the year. 800,000 federal workers did miss paychecks, but they're going to get their money back. And SNAP enrollments were not allowed for a few weeks. But again, with the frame, the deep state going after people, taxpayers covered like any other official duty expense. So the taxpayers covered all the lawfare that went against Donald Trump. Why don't taxpayers have to cover the reimbursement for the wrongness of the lawfare in the first place? Again, if you're a Democratic voter or a never Trumper who's listening to me right now, if you had no problem with the cases against Donald Trump in 2024, then you have no problem with the senators getting paid back for having to hire lawyers for those cases in 2024. You cannot have it both ways. If you are okay with what happened last year, you got to be okay with what's happening this year. Period. Continuing. Republicans delivered for parts of their base with the intoxicating hemp restrictions. So some people are talking about this. Ms. McConnell was pleased about the alcohol industry donors and farm state conservatives who wanted tighter, THC rules. I'm not really interested in that point, but it is something that was thrown out there, and I guess they cared about it, so it's in there. Libertarian conservatives. I didn't know there was such thing. Libertarian conservatives and younger MAGA voters, they see the hemp ban as crony capitalism, basically the government trying to get in the THC business. Was, by the way, if you happen to be in that business, the government will be in that business very quickly, and they're going to start putting private business owners out of business. They're going to try because there's a lot of money to be made. As long as y'all like smoking, there's going to be money to be made in that. So they say the ban crushes small businesses while protecting big alcohol. I say that's true. So the ban is basically allowing the big companies to have more say than the small companies. In other words, Walmart moving into town and kicking out all the small hardware stores. That's basically what they're going to do with alcohol and anything that people like to smoke. The government, if they see there's money being made, they're coming in. All right, you guys got fat while everybody starved. It's our turn. That's pretty much what the government is saying. Now, Democrats can say that they ended the economic freefall before SNAP ran fully dry. So this is one thing that the Democrats can say that they've done as a way of saving face. Like, hey, we saved all you all who were on SNAP, all you food stamp recipients. We helped you out because we ended the government shutdown before it went completely broke and you really couldn't eat. You were down to eating mayonnaise sandwiches, or you're about to not even have bread for the sandwich. You're about to just be eating mayonnaise. Now, at least we got you back on the mayonnaise sandwich. At least you got the bread. All right, at least you got that part, is what the Democrats can say. Not much of a win, but they'll take whatever they can take. So the TSA is back operating. The United States USDA is back operating. They were on the verge of collapse, and it was pressuring moderates to compromise because the Democrats have framed themselves as the party of the everyman. They didn't win the election last year with the very same everyman not voting for them, but they are trying to reclaim that position as the party of the everyman, especially the poor and broke and destitute Americans. And a lot of those people do have jobs. And if those people couldn't get their money, they would eventually start looking crazy at the Democrats. So there was a window through which the Democrats could blame the Republicans for all the problems that the everyday person was having. But eventually those real problems would start to get the everyday person to look at the Democrats too and say, hey, don't y'all have something to do with this? And the Democrats knew that. They were smart enough to understand that. And they said, let's get this shutdown over before they start looking at us crazy. And that's the reason why this shutdown is over. Now, failing to lock in the ACA subsidies. Again, ACA is the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This leaves millions facing steep premium spikes in January. How many of you are seeing your healthcare costs go up in January? How many of you already been told your costs are going up? And give me some numbers if you haven't. And you seeing your healthcare costs go up in January, or you've been told that your costs are going to go up in January, and did you get numbers? Were you given numbers? I'm interested in numbers. I've seen people posting numbers. I don't know if I believe them. You never know what you can believe on the internet. I will believe any of you. I want to know where it's going from what to what is what I'm asking. Where's it going from what to what? So someone said 35%. I got it 35% from insurance, but from what to what? I just want to know the actual number. TX Trump Babe said my deductible went from $1,500 to $3,000. Did they only change the deductible? I mean, that sucks, but I mean, at least you don't have to pay more out of pocket, assuming you don't go to the hospital. 25%. Echo said mine went down years ago when I dropped my healthcare. Well, that's the best way to get your healthcare costs down is to just not pay for healthcare. Smart. Nana Cat said 3,000 deductible. Laura said my premium tripled from 111 to 351. Well, there you go. That's a lot. That's a lot, and that's every month you're paying, right? XTR said 900 up to 1,200 a month. Yes, $300 extra dollars. Karina said $30 to $75 bi-weekly. So, and Tiro from me says hard in New York to talk about Trump's success. I'm sure New York City or New York State. Hunter Crook said I went from 254 to 330 every 2 weeks. Yeah, so they raise it on everybody monthly. Haven't been able to afford to get sick since Obamacare. I've heard that. It's cheaper to not have insurance if you're healthy. Nana Cat, I agree with you. Keep on living life. Have noticed you're already prepared to make excuses as to prices raising. Me, I'm prepared to make excuses. I don't work for the government. I don't need to make excuses for anything. I'm not a representative of the government. My Micah Lynn said using a direct care provider is better. You're in the city. Yeah, in the city. Yeah, you better be careful talking about Trump. I understand you. Steven said, I hate to say this, but every American should drop their medical insurance. Don't hate to say it, Stephen. I think a lot of people already thought about that when Obamacare passed. I understand. Keep on living. Say you're a Trump cheerleader. Okay. I'll give you a straw man award for even saying. Actually, you get an ad hominem.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
And you'll get a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Steven says, start your own account, put money in there for medical issues, pay cash, cheaper. I agree with that. Steven just gave a really good strategy for any of you who don't want to keep paying healthcare. Take the same money you're paying for healthcare every month for insurance, put the money into your own account, and then just every month let that money add up. And then if you got to pay for something, pay it out of pocket. Now, there are challenges to that because if you have a serious medical issue, it might cost more than the money you got in that account. So it depends on the situation. But I get what you're saying. Stephen. I generally agree with your direction. There are some mitigating factors to challenge that point, but I get what you're saying. I like your idea. I like the seeds of that idea. So steep premium spikes are coming. Everybody's paying more for healthcare. And this is where when people talk about healthcare, this is when people try to defend that kid, Luigi Mangione. Remember that kid in New York who shot the healthcare CEO in his head, or I don't know where he shot him. Shot him right in broad daylight in New York City. And then they caught him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And now where is that guy? I guess he's still in jail. It takes forever for these court cases to actually go to trial. And people are saying, well, look what all these healthcare companies are doing. They're screwing the citizens. They make you pay all that money in insurance. Then you get a health issue finally that you've been paying insurance for. You go to get your health issue handled. Then you send it to the insurance company to cover it, and they deny your claim. So wait a minute, I've been paying all this money for healthcare. Then I finally need to use my healthcare that I've been paying for every damn month. And now you're denying my claim. So you're not going to pay for the very thing that I've been paying for the entire time. And people are really pissed off about that. I understand people being pissed off about it. I am not justifying that kid shooting that healthcare CEO in the broad daylight. That's stupid. But I understand why people are pissed off at the healthcare industry. This is the reason why I have maintained for years. Those of you who are new around here, and if you only found out about me through TikTok, you're new. I've been publishing content since 2005, non-basketball stuff since 2015. So if you only know about me since TikTok, you're new. I've been maintained for years. The educational system, the legal system, and the health system in the United States of America are all scams for different reasons, but generally because they are teaching you one thing when the reality is a different thing. They are forcing you into doing things one way when the reality is you're probably doing a different way, and they threaten you by threatening something that is very important to your well-being if you don't follow their rules. If you don't follow the educational rules, they say your career will fail. You don't follow the legal rules, they say you'll lose your freedom. You don't follow the health rules, they say you'll lose your health. That's what they do. So they scare you into following their rules. That's the way the whole system is designed. Healthcare industry has you afraid anything happens to you or somebody in your family, you won't be able to afford it. So you better pay us every month so we can take care of it. And then when something actually happens, they don't take care of it. And then you're like, well, what the hell is this? I understand. I understand. So the ACAA subsidies leaves a bunch of people facing big premium spikes come this January. And some of you are going to get spikes whether they locked in the subsidies or not, because most of you are probably not on the level where those subsidies would have kept your numbers steady. If you can afford it, they're going to charge you more. Isn't that pretty much how the government works? Let me ask, what do y'all think? Give me a yes or no in the comments. Just as a general point, if you can afford it and the government knows you can afford it, they just charge you more and more money. Is this true? Yes or no? That's how taxes work. That's how healthcare works. That's how car insurance works. I always try to figure out how car insurance works. I think they ask you where you live, right? They ask you where you're going to park your car. And they know every zip code in America. So if you're going to park your car in a nice zip code, they just charge you more money. You're going to park your car in a poor zip code, they charge you less money. So I think I'm going to start. No, I can't even say it on camera. If you live somewhere nice, they just charge you more money because they figure, all right, if you live there, you probably can afford it. So let's charge this person more money. This is how the government works. When they know you got it, they take it from you. So why would you trust the government? Why would you put your trust in the government to do anything? I don't care who the president is. The president can't change this. Remember, folks, the president is mostly a figurehead. The president can't do anything unilaterally. Donald Trump cannot do anything unilaterally. Most of the decisions made by the government come from Congress. If you want to get mad at the government or you want to get locked in or quote unquote educated about the government, you need to be watching Congress, not the president. The president is a distraction. I don't care who it is. It could have been Kamala. They are a distraction. The real decisions are made in Congress. And as I just explained to you, I just demonstrated to you, they don't even read the fucking paperwork. They don't even read the paperwork. They're the ones making the decisions that cost you money. The costs that you have to pay, Obamacare, your health care, your taxes, your insurance, all of those things, those go through Congress. Those do not go through the president. Congress does that. All the president does is either rubber stamp it or veto it. That's it. They just say yes or no. But all the fine print is done in Congress. So if you don't like what's happening in America, you need to be paying attention to the legislature. That is Congress. That is the House of Representatives. That is the senators. You vote for them. Every 2 years, there's an election, and there's some people who are up for election. That's what you need to be paying attention to, because that's where the change actually happens if you want change. It's not in the executive branch. So Democrats now had to defend a December vote that is unlikely to pass the House. So they're basically going to try to get those subsidies extended. It's not going to happen. It's over. So anybody who thought the Democrats were going to win subsidies for the Obamacare is not happening. It's over. Game over for Obamacare subsidies. Now, federal workers are finally going to get their money, which we're happy about. We're happy about federal workers getting their money. I'm not a federal worker. I know some people who work for the federal government. I'm not sure if they missed any checks yet. I'll find out next time I talk to them. But they're going to get their back pay, any money that's owed to them, which is great. Why is that great? Why does it matter? It matters because all of us should always want more money moving around in the government. You want, not in the government, in the economy. You want money moving around. You want everybody to have money, and you want everybody to be optimistic about their financial future. Why? Because when people have money and they believe they will have money, they will spend money. And when people spend money, everybody makes money. And everybody can make it. Everybody can spend. We get a healthy economy. The stock market goes up. The value of investments goes up. The value of businesses goes up. And everybody benefits. But when nobody's spending money and everybody is pessimistic about their financial future, the money starts drying up. So we want money moving around. So the government releasing money to a bunch of federal workers. Federal workers are humans. And guess what? They need food. They need clothing. They need shelter. They go on vacation. They go to the grocery store. They go to the mall. They go to the movies. We want that money moving around because that money eventually finds its way into the pockets of the salespeople and entrepreneurs out there in the world. I'm an entrepreneur. I like money moving around. I want everybody to have a whole bunch of money. Why? Because it makes it better for people like me. Now, federal workers get their money back after missing checks. Now, this stabilizes hundreds of thousands of families heading into the holidays. Also, it's holiday season. Let's not forget about that. It's Thanksgiving in a couple weeks, actually in exactly 2 weeks. Thanksgiving is late this year. So Thanksgiving is in exactly 2 weeks, and that's when people eat food. We sit around, eat food, and hang with family. But right after Thanksgiving dinner is over, what happens for the next month and we could basically month and what? A month and a week? The next 5 weeks after Thanksgiving is over, what does everybody do? Somebody answer the question. What happens right after Thanksgiving is over? What does everybody do for the next 5 weeks? Kay Sarah said it. They just start spending money. For the next 5 weeks, everybody's spending money. Right? And the only way people can spend money is if they got it. All right. People can't spend money they ain't got. And if people are unsure about if they're going to have money or not, they won't spend it. But we want everybody to have money, especially in holiday season. All right. As soon as Halloween ends, you want everybody to have as much money as possible. Why? Because the salespeople make money when buyers have money. So it's very good that this shutdown ended. I predicted it'll be over by Halloween. I was off by 2 weeks. It's over now. And they couldn't let it get to Thanksgiving, because if it got to Thanksgiving and people wouldn't have money, and if the holiday season people don't have money, then you get Jeff Bezos and what's that guy over at Apple, Tim Cook, and Mark Zuckerberg knocking at Donald Trump's door. Why? Because they make all their money from people spending money. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook makes most of their money from ads. And people don't have money, they can't run ads. And you're not going to run ads and nobody's buying anything because nobody's buying. So why would you keep running your ads? Jeff Bezos, y'all know his story, Amazon. How many of you got an Amazon Prime account? Almost everybody. How many of you buy from Amazon? Everybody. So you ain't got no money, you can't buy from Amazon. Jeff Bezos be like, hey, Donald, we need to do something about that over there. Tim Cook, did I say Tim Kaine? Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Well, what are they selling right now? iPhone. Apple makes the majority of their money. The bulk of Apple's money comes from selling their phone. Nobody got any money. Nobody's buying a phone. So if that shutdown had continued past Thanksgiving, all of those guys who were at Donald Trump's inauguration would have been like, hey, Donald. Also, the guys from Google, Larry and Sergey, would have been like, hey, we make all our money from Google ads. We need that shutdown over so people have money so they can run ads and we can make money. We were at your inauguration, Donald. Fix this. Get it done. So they got it done. And now Donald Trump can claim that he is responsible for this, which he will. Now, the January 30th deadline guarantees another funding battle is coming in about, what did I say, we got all of December, all of January, what's that, 8, 9, about 10 weeks. About 10 weeks is going to be another battle. So the shutdown was not actually resolved. It was paused. They just paused the shutdown. They didn't end it. They paused it. So both sides are now more hostile. The Democrats now know what they're mad about. The Republicans now know what the Democrats are mad about. And now there's going to be another fight in January. So basically, it's got like a rematch of a boxing match. It's like Ali Frazier. Yeah, it's like Ali Frazier. So they had Ali Frazier 1, 2, and 3. So now they're just about to fight again. They had the first fight. Now they're about to have the second fight. Now, markets got short-term clarity when the shutdown ended. It eased fears of a winter downturn, which means the markets will probably go up at least somewhat over the next couple of days, probably even today, just because now at least people know the shutdown is over. And then the markets just mean what people invest in, like the stock markets, as crypto, et cetera. Crypto is not necessarily reflective of the stock market, but the stock market definitely, because the stock market is a reflection of optimism versus pessimism. If people feel good about the future, the stock market goes up. People feel bad about the future, the stock market goes down. Simple as that. And that can happen in one day, but it's a long-term game you should be playing, but you can see the results in one day when big things happen. So the nonstop, investors, back to this topic. They have been rattled by the missing economic data, stalled federal operations. There was some data just didn't come out, so investors weren't quite sure what to do. The stock market predictors weren't quite sure what to say. Now, some of that can ease up and the market can go back to being a market. Now, the nonstop dysfunction fuels voter fatigue with both parties. We talked about this a lot yesterday. After 43 days of chaos, trust in Washington is even lower heading into 2026 midterms. Even though the trust is low amongst voters, the problem for voters, even though your trust may be lower than it was when it comes to politicians, is that you still only have two choices. So you might be mad at the government, but when you go to the ballot box in the voting booth, you still only got two choices, Democrats and Republicans. So the Democrats and Republicans, they both say, okay, you're pissed off at the government, Mr. Citizen. I understand, but screw you, pick one. Screw you, pick one. You still got to pick one. So you're still stuck in the same position, kind of, everyday voter, which is why I'm telling you for the 828th time, I'm just giving you a different way of saying the same thing. You do not want to attach your fate to anything that the government does. Why? Because they are not invested in making sure you are in a good space. If you happen to be in a good space, it's not because of the government. They may take credit for it, but that's not the reason. I don't care, Donald Trump, anybody else. You want to put yourself in a position where you're in a good space because of you, and then you can look at the government as an entertainment vehicle or something to comment on, as I'm doing now, but not something that you're dependent on for your well-being or the your future success. So let's get into the comments here. Don't need a restroom break here today. It's cooler in South Florida. I think when it's cooler, I don't need the restroom break as often, because then I drink a little bit more water and there's more perspiration. But O-Dog said the government needs to stay shut down. Obamacare was a horrible law. Everything the government does creates problems downstream. Well, everything the government does to help people out, of course it does, because it costs something. They just don't tell you what it costs, and you don't find out about the cost till years later. And Obamacare, we're finding out the cost now. I mean, we knew the cost then, but now everybody's noticing the cost. O-Dog said, I was applying to med school years ago. The girl I was studying with said healthcare should be free. I said, are you going to work for free? She said, hell no. I just laughed. O-Dog said, Ron Paul said that when you subsidize something, it drives the price up. Well, if you subsidize, you're giving it away, then somebody got to pay for it. So technically, that's right. Basically, what Obamacare did, if we were to put it in simple terms, it gave healthcare to people who couldn't afford to pay for it. And the cost of that free healthcare to those people was offset by you all who can afford it paying more money. How many of you agree with that frame? Give me a yes or no if you agree with that. That's what Obamacare did. It took a bunch of people who couldn't afford healthcare, gave it to them for free, but the government can't afford to give people stuff for free. So all they did was get those of you who have money to pay for the people who don't have money. So that's basically what it did. Y'all are paying for people who can't afford healthcare. So if you believe healthcare should be a human right, congratulations. All right, pay for that human right. You're paying for other people for them to have their human right of healthcare. If it's a human right, then it shouldn't cost anything. I mean, freedom, well, that's not a good one. Freedom of speech is a human right. That doesn't cost money. It does cost some money to say certain things in certain audiences, but I think everything has a cost. And what, generally speaking, I'm going to go as far as to say this. Generally speaking, when people talk about things being human rights, and especially on the Democratic side, they use this frame of everybody should have access to certain things, and we're going to let the people who have the money pay for it. So when you hear Zohran Mamdani and Barack Obama and Joe Biden talking about billionaires need to pay their fair share, isn't that what they say all the time? You got Bernie Sanders and AOC talking about the oligarchs. They got all the money. We're going to make them pay. They're lying to you. They're not making them pay. Is Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk paying for Obamacare? No, you're paying for Obamacare. They say we're going to tax the billionaires. They say we're going to tax the rich. Who they actually tax is you. They tax the people who can afford it. And these are middle-class people, upper middle-class people, not oligarchs, not billionaires. That's who pays for this stuff. Y'all are the ones paying for this stuff. When they say we're going to tax the rich, what they really mean is we're going to tax people who are not poor. That's what they mean by the rich. But now they use the straw man of the rich being Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. That's the straw man, because that gets you excited because you're not them. You're like, okay, tax them. So what? They got all the money. They won't mind. What they're really doing is taxing you. They get you to agree to the bullshit by making it about Elon Musk. And then you realize only when it's too late that the Elon Musk they were really talking about is you, because you can afford it. And you can't afford to do anything about it if you don't like it. Elon Musk can do something about it. Elon Musk didn't like the Democrats. He put $100 million behind Donald Trump, and he got his way. What you going to do? You got $100 million to put behind your favorite candidate? See, you can't do anything about it. He can do something about it. So when they say tax the billionaires, that sounds really good, but the billionaires can fight back. The everyday person, your household is making $100,000 a year. Can you really fight back the way that you would want to? The way Elon Musk can? No, you can't. And that's when they tax you. And it's only later on when you get the bill that you realize, oh, wait a minute. The Democrats scammed me by telling me that this is a human right, as if they make it sound like it's something they're going to get for free. All right, there was nothing free about Obamacare. O-Dog said Obamacare was a law for the insurance companies. Coverage went down and premiums went up. And I agree. That's exactly what it is. He said all of these politicians that support Obamacare have top-notch private insurance and probably pay cash for functional medicine care providers. Yes. I mean, paying health insurance the way it looks. I'm not going to say all health insurance, but the way it looks like a complete scam. I mean, a lot of insurance, I believe, is scam. Not all of it. Not all of it. I know some of you may even sell insurance, not knocking your hustle. But a lot of it looks like a scam. You pay, and then when you finally need something, they don't even handle the shit. Anyway, let's get over to TikTok and get to the comments on TikTok. We got 35 minutes here. Shirley B said, just today, so fortunate to have you pop up on my news feed. Following now, smart man. Well, thank you, Shirley. Sherry Banash Stevens said, I'll drop my insurance if it goes up again. You just drop it now. It's going to go up again. So you just do it ahead of time. Chris Novak said exactly. Middle class on the brink of destruction. Yes, Chris. And this is, I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if you heard me talk about this, Chris, but the reason the middle class is getting destroyed is because of this. This whole idea, and many reasons, but one of them is what I just articulated. This whole idea of tax the rich. Again, they say tax the rich. And any of you listening to this, let's say your household brings in, again, $80,000 to $150,000 a year, and they say tax the rich. You're like, well, they can't be talking about me. They are talking about you. They're talking about you. They will straw man the point by pointing out how much Elon Musk has, or Bill Gates, or some other rich person, Donald Trump, or his billionaire friends. They'll straw man it by pointing out them as if that's who they're talking about. They can't tax those people because those people can do something to fight back. They will tax you. There's a lot more of you. It's a lot easier to get it over on you because you don't have the power to fight back the way Elon Musk can fight back. Again, Elon Musk fought back when he didn't like what was happening. He took $100 billion and got Donald Trump elected. What are you going to do? The rich is anybody who ain't poor. That's what the rich means. Is anybody who can afford to pay for their own health insurance, your own car insurance, your own food, your own clothing, your own house. If you can pay for all of these things yourself, any of you who pays your own bills, you are the rich. You're the ones they're going to tax when they want to give something to poor people. So if you're okay with that, fine. Pay your fair share. Joe Biden voice. But if you're not okay with that, then understand the game that's actually being played here. And that's mostly coming from the political left. Knight said car insurance is the biggest scam. I think health insurance is a bigger scam than car insurance. Car insurance is a scam too, but health insurance is a bigger scam. Tamwell said Edison does the same thing over here on electrical rates. Over where? Where are you at? Timo from New York said this is why Democrats win all the time. They build a list of voters from the homeless and the addicts. Well, that's one thing, but also because the masses of people, when you talk about the masses of people, it's like a triangle. All right, there are more people at the bottom than there are at the top. So if you sell this idea that we should just give these things to everybody so everyone has access, the masses like that idea because they believe it's not them that are going to be paying for it. So it works. La Lauren, thanks for the follow. Sherry said taxes are the biggest scam. Okay, that's a good point. Echo said, I use the general and recommend looking into the general $250 a year. Oh, yeah, I used to see those commercials, the general. I think I used to see them in Pennsylvania. I don't know if they're available in Florida. My hometown is Philadelphia, PA. I live in South Florida. Hoso, thank you for joining the fan club and heart. Jamie said, our city commission voted on the change and they admitted no one read the documents. They don't read the documents. They don't need to read the documents. Their job is keeping their job. Their job is not reading documents. And again, people follow what these people are saying, and they know just as much as you do. Jamie Nat, thanks for the follow. Yak and Hat, thanks for the follow. Chris said, elections have consequences. This is true. T-Row said, they use the names of homeless, addicts, and seniors through migrants. Interesting. Jamie Dean said, do you have links to your TEDx? Yeah, it should be at dreallday.com/TED, but I've updated website, so let me make sure and see if it's still there. As I change links, sometimes the links get broken. I got to fix them. But let me see. www. But if it's not Dre All Day, it might be workonyourgame.com/TED. Let me see. Workonyourgame.com/TED. I know I moved them at some point. Page loading. But if it's not there, I'll fix it. Worst case scenario, Jamie, you could just look it up on YouTube. Just look up my name, Dre Baldwin, and just put in TED, and you'll see all my TED Talks are on there. But I have a web page where I had them all listed. I don't know if it's still active because when you change domain names, you got to fix the wwws and the https, and it's all this DNS stuff that you got to fix. I don't know how to fix it. I just have not looked at this in some time. So since you're asking, I'm looking. Workonyourgame.com. I'm waiting for this page to load, but it's taking too long to load, so I'm thinking it might not be there. Worst case is look it up on YouTube. Billy's on a mission said, if you're healthy, pay out of pocket. Yeah, so a few of you got that idea. I agree with that idea. Zaddy Daddy said, everyone in DC is crooked. Not one of them gives a damn about any of us. Generally, I would agree with you. XCR said, unless you live in California, Newsom makes his own rules and passes bills without votes. Well, he doesn't really. It seems like he does, but he can't. It's impossible. Shirley B, thank you for the donuts. There's a glazed donut place I need to get a donut from. I haven't gotten a donut from there in a while, but now that you brought that up, it makes me think about it. TX Trump Babe said, my best friend is a federal worker. I bought her groceries last week. Well, that's great of you for being a friend of hers. The good news is Texas Trump Babe, she can pay you back. She's about to get her back pay, next paycheck, which might be tomorrow. So get your money back. Trizzy said, just use Dogecoin to buy groceries. Woo, Dogecoin. K. Sarah said that's what I tell my husband. Yeah, Niece 6107 said, I want people who work to be paid. So glad federal worker in the military got paid. Well, or I think they're about to get paid. I think they get paid on Friday. So they should be getting paid tomorrow. Hopefully, if all the paperwork goes through. Hopefully, everybody gets paid tomorrow. Echo said, I want everybody to spend money. So the time I have is worth more. I don't spend regardless. Yeah, fair enough. T.O. said, Republicans want to win in sanctuary states, investigate those free phone stands and others. Okay. Chris says, small business of 29 years, work is almost non-existent last 2 years. What type of business do you run? Zabian said, I spent money I didn't have. Well, America is designed to help you spend money that you don't have. Good news is we have such an open market that you can make that money back at some point. Hopefully you do. Mary said, I already started spending money. Oh, well, that's what they want you to do. It's good that you're spending money. That money makes the economy flourish. We want people spending money. There's nothing wrong with spending money, folks. As long as you make money, it's good to spend money. Abdio said, wow, great connections. Trizzy said, consumer economy mindset. Yes, welcome to America. All of America is a consumer economy mindset. Chris said, I wish Governor Westmore was listening. He keeps raising taxes on everything. Well, him raising taxes brings more money to the government, and allegedly that money makes it back to poor people in Maryland. But I don't know. I don't live in Maryland. Jesse said, I'm not spending money this holiday season. I'll save it. Well, Jesse, I'll suggest instead of saving the money, you invest it. Saving money is losing money because your dollar is going to be worth less money on January 1st than it is right now. So if you put your money under your mattress, the value of that money goes down even though it's still there. I would suggest you invest the money. Now, where you invest and how you invest is a question for your qualified financial advisor. This is not financial advice. LK South said Amazon hasn't gotten terrible. What do you mean by that? Amazon has always been Amazon. Amazon does a good job. I like Amazon. I spend a lot of money there, directly or indirectly. Chris Novak said, I'm not spending money. I'm skipping this year. We'll see, Chris. That's what you're saying now. It's November 13th. Check back with us December 13th. We'll see if you're still not spending money. Jewel Desir, thanks for the follow. K. Sarah said, what about Elon? What about him? LK South said, Google Gmail being sued. Trump don't agree with all billionaires. Well, people get sued all the time. It doesn't mean anything. Simeon Law, thanks for the share. T-Rose said, in the midterms, they don't stop those free phone stands. And T-Rose, I don't know what you're talking about, this phone thing. Tasha, thanks for the follow. Trizzy said, is a stock market rally time. Santa always comes through. Well, Santa does always come through because people start spending money. When Santa comes through, when people start spending money, all of a sudden Santa Claus gets magical powers. That's why he is who he is. We're at 115,000 likes. Leah, thank you for telling everybody. User 585, thanks for the share. Alton Morgan said, have a nice day. Thank you. Xavier said, happy is over. Now Florida can just get rid of property taxes. Yeah, good luck. LK South said, nope, I agree with what Trump is doing now. It's common sense. I voted for. I love America. I love America too. I don't know what part of what Trump is doing you're talking about. Robert Minnick, thank you for the rose. Octavio HG, thanks for the share. T-Rose said, okay, you keep talking about these phone stands. I can't keep reading these comments. Trizzy says, stop voting for people who care. If no one cares, elect new people. Well, that's been the mandate for about 60 years, Trizzy. The problem is the system is designed to drum the caring out of you. That's the way that political system is designed. Alton said, as long as man rules over man, there will be failure. As long as we are run by men, there will be failure. It doesn't even matter if somebody's ruling. As long as everything we do is based on humanity, humans are imperfect, so there will always be failure. Beach Bum, thanks for the share. Jamie, thank you for the follow. John said, libertarian, conservative. I'm conservative in values, but I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect me. All right, is that what it means? Okay, fair enough. Nana Cat, thank you for telling people to like the live. LK South said, when America is winning, isn't it the man in charge that's supposed to get the credit? Yes, the man in charge gets the credit and the blame because you're the man in charge. That's the way life works. If you're the president, you get the credit or the blame based on whatever's happening. And Christopher Furl said, as a CEO, how would you handle your business in New York facing rising corporate taxes? If I ran a business that had that type of corporate structure, it would depend on the numbers. It would depend on, does this make sense for us to stay here and keep dealing with these corporate taxes based on what we can do to combat the taxes? Do we need to stay here? Can we move our business out of New York? Should we? And if we did, what are the costs of doing that? What's the trade-offs of doing that? So I would need more information to answer that question. It's not a black and white question. It depends on several factors. That's a multivariate problem that you're posing to me, Christopher. Okay, South said Obama did nothing for anyone. I disagree with that. Obama got healthcare for a bunch of people who couldn't afford it. But we can agree that he did that. The ACA, Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, got healthcare for a bunch of people who did not have healthcare. So he did that for them. The issue is everybody else had to pay for that. That's why people were against it from the beginning. So he said, I love the glasses. Oh, yeah, I think that was a gift that somebody gave. So thanks for the glasses gift. Thank you for the gifts. Everybody who's been sending gifts in, I can't see them all while I'm talking, but I appreciate it. But heck said, personal responsibility seems to be an unacceptable concept now. But heck, there are a lot of people who still agree with it. It's just that they aren't as loud. They tend to be more on the right than on the left. I'm not saying no people on the left are like that. And I'm not saying everybody on the right is about personal responsibility. But I think, especially in terms of politics, the right has staked out this position of, we want to help people take care of themselves, whereas the left is like, we want to take care of you for you. I prefer teaching people to teach a man to fish rather than give a man a fish. Why? Because if you give a man a fish, you make him dependent. When you make somebody dependent, now you can control them. And I think the Democratic Party is much more angled towards doing that than the Republican Party, as a general point. Jamie said, Obamacare got me in IRS hell. I owed back my whole credit 3 years in a row. Yeah, that's crazy. Chris said, no to universal health care, not the answer. Well, that's what they're trying. They're trying to pose the idea. And you get the right Democrat in office, it could happen. The right Democrat in office in the executive branch and in Congress, it can happen. LK South said they did show the number on healthcare. Obamacare raised premiums, number went in pockets of insurance company. Well, yeah, it's the same thing O-Dog said over here on YouTube. So I believe you. I'm not contesting that point. I know that happened. PJ, good morning. Granny said we still have to at least vote Democrat because if you don't vote at all, the Republicans will win. Well, it depends on who's running and what they're running on. So there are some Democrats that may have some good points, and there are some Republicans who have good points. But I would not say just vote Democrat just because they're Democrats. That I don't agree with. And sometimes if a candidate is so bad, they still can't win even when they try that. If you want an example of that, see last year's election, Kamala Harris. Chris said, we pay a lot, can't afford to get sick. I understand you. Christopher said, wealth redistribution. Yeah, in what way, though? Lori Ballinger, thanks for the follow. Lenny May said, socialized healthcare, Obama, grr. Yeah, well, that's what Obama was trying to do. He didn't lie about it. I mean, he was upfront about what he wanted to do, and he did it. Amy Stoughton, thank you for the follow. Mex in the City said, isn't that a lot of large numbers set by insurance companies? Not so much the government. Okay, so many of you are saying this. I will concede this point that many of you are saying is the insurance companies, not the government. I think is the insurance companies working with the government. Insurance companies are very big organizations, and they make a lot of money, and they pay a lot in taxes. The government knows exactly what they're doing, exactly what they have. So I think they're working together. So you can point at the government or the insurance companies. I don't mind. I don't care which one you point at. I'm not a fan of either one of them, personally. I know a lot of people who sell insurance. I'm not knocking them. I mean, a job is a job. A business is a business. But the industry of insurance, I'm not a fan of. I know a lot of people who are doctors and nurses. I don't like the medical industry. I like them. I don't like the medical industry. I know a lot of teachers. I don't like the educational system. I like them as people. I don't like the system that they work for. But that doesn't mean they're bad people. Because, again, everybody needs to pay their bills. So if that's the job you got, that's the job you got. Kay Sarah said they want to let people into America, then complain about the cost of houses. Also true. LK South says some just live off the government. Yes. Well, they're not really living off the government because the government ain't got no money. LK South, they're living off you. The government is just taking the money and filtering it from your pocket to their pockets. And they take their cut in the process. That's what they're doing. So the government is basically a middleman screwing you. They're like the mafia screwing you. Live Free said that's what taxes are for. We never get what we pay for in this government. No, that is what you get. What you pay for. What you pay for is the government taking your money and giving it to people who ain't got any money. That's what you're paying for. Now, they don't tell you that, but that's what you're paying for. If you thought you were paying for something else, then they just fooled you. That's all. Marky Man, yes, we did get to 100K here today. Thank you. Wag said, no one has a right to other people's labor. What do you mean by that? Pathfinder said, you are incorrect. On what? And then right after that, ALP said, thanks for spreading the truth. So which one is it? Am I incorrect or am I spreading the truth? XCR said, I hope New York is paying attention because all the free stuff Mondani is offering will topple New York. Well, first of all, he has to actually do it. So campaign promises and actually following through are two different things. So we'll see what he actually does. So he'll be being watched very closely come January 1st because he has to actually do the stuff that he's talking about. Trudy said, they taxed us in the big, beautiful bill. Billionaires definitely should be taxed 2% more. They're probably not going to happen. You got to think about how much money is generated. There's an article on X yesterday. I don't know if any of you saw it. I didn't read it yet, but I saved it. But let me find it. There's an article that came out yesterday that said it was called The Economic Impact of Elon Musk. Did y'all see this article? Let me see if I can find the platform that posted it. It was sharing how many people work for Elon, how much money his company pays out in money, like in terms of salaries. Here it is. The economic impact of Elon Musk on the U.S. economy is written by this guy named Larry Goldberg. And his name on X is Tesla Larry. I don't think he works at Tesla. Maybe he owns a Tesla. Maybe that's why he calls himself that. He has 47,000 followers on 47,000 followers on X. The article looks something like this. Y'all look it up on X. I saved this yesterday, but I skimmed it quickly just to see some things, but I'm going to read the whole thing. But Elon Musk, all right, so he's allegedly a billionaire, $500 billion, whatever it is, of value, of worth, not actual cash. Elon Musk's companies have paid out $110 billion in salaries over the last 5 years. That means every year his company pays out $20 billion to employees every year in the last 5. That's enough money to give everybody in LA a check for 27 grand. This cash supports 200,000 workers at peak, from welders who build the trucks to coders who dream up rockets. And the average pay for all of Elon's companies, all his companies put together, the average pay is around $160,000 a year. So this is how people pay for their housing, their childcare, and their food. Now, workers spend on groceries, homes, and vacations. Every dollar multiplies into $1.50 to $2 in local economic activity per standard multiplier. So based on what Larry Tesler says, every dollar that gets thrown out by Elon Musk's companies to employees as salary multiplies into $1.50 to $2 in local economic activity. Remember, I explained to y'all, when there's money in the economy, everybody spends and it makes the money move. So all the money Elon pays out to his workers doubles the money that goes into the economy's economic movement when those people take the money and they go spend it. So people saying that billionaires should just get taxed, let's just take more money from them, as if they're just taking from everyone. They're really not. They're giving, and they create a ton of value. But nobody likes talking about that when they talk about billionaires. So employees alone from Elon's companies paid $31 billion in income and payroll taxes. That money goes to schools, roads, Social Security. On the corporate side, his companies paid $5 billion in income taxes, despite a bunch of credits for green tech and research and development. Payroll taxes from employees, another $9 billion. All right, so they're not dodging taxes. They're actually paying a lot in taxes every single year. $46 billion in taxes over the last 5 years. And there's a whole lot more. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Y'all can find this article on X. How much money Elon Musk's companies actually pay, not only in salary to employees, but in taxes to the government. If anybody's dodging taxes, damn sure ain't Elon's companies. Chris said the middle class get taxed, not the rich. This is 100% correct. Most of the biggest tax impact is usually going to the middle class. Impact meaning how much it impacts the people who are being taxed. Now, of course, Elon pays the most, but the impact hits the middle class the most. Lower class doesn't get taxes. They don't have anything. Justin said people don't understand billionaires have their money in stocks. Well, stocks and just the value of the things that they allegedly own, because nobody knows the actual net worth of anybody, because you have to know their liabilities and know their net worth. Mex in the City said, isn't that change we're looking for through start taxing the rich? No, hell no. No. Again, I just explained this like 15 minutes ago. When you hear politicians say tax the rich, the straw man is they talk about Elon Musk. What they really mean is taxing people who can afford to be taxed. That doesn't mean just the rich. That means people whose households bring in $80,000 a year. They're talking about you. They're not talking about Elon Musk. They're talking about people who make $80,000, $90,000, $120,000 a year as a household. You're the one who's going to get taxed because you can't run. You can't just up and move your whole life in a month like Elon can. Elon took his whole company, moved it out of California to Texas because he decided he wanted to. Can you do that? Can you just up and move everything you got from one state to another as quickly as Elon did? He moved an entire company from California to Texas just because he didn't like what was happening in California, because he has the resources to do it. The average person whose household is bringing in $90,000 a year cannot do that. So they tax you because you can't fight back. Elon can fight back against anything the government does to him. So tax the rich is, again, it depends on what you mean by rich. Rich compared to poor people. Okay, so if you can pay your bills, you're rich compared to a poor person. You're the one getting taxed. LK South said they work to get where they are. Trump paid $300 million in taxes to New York. Yes, well, everybody works to get to where they are. It's a bigger point than that. The bigger point is that they create jobs. When you're a billionaire, you become a billionaire by saving up your paychecks. You became a billionaire because you create a business. When you create a business, not only are you providing value through goods and services to consumers, you're also providing jobs. When you provide jobs, that means other people get to make money because of the entity that you created and that you either own or that you run or that you put out there into the marketplace. That's tax dollars from all your workers. That's money that they make and they go spend. And you're lowering the unemployment rate because you just created an opportunity for people to have a job. So the government loves business owners because business owners create jobs and jobs create employees. Employees get taxed. Okay, South said, ask Obama how he bought a house in Martha's Vineyard. Well, Obama is famous, so I understand how he bought the house. He's a famous guy. He gives a speech. He's going to make $100,000 for giving it. You do enough of them, you're going to make enough money to buy a house in Martha's Vineyard. And I think their book deal, I researched this. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The book deal for the Obamas, both of them together, was like $65 million. That's enough to buy a house pretty much anywhere. Trizzy said, yeah, then Donald Trump taxed the lower class. Oh, well, the lower class don't have any money. He taxed the middle class is what he did. Every president is really not even Donald Trump doing it. It's not Obama doing it. It's the government. It's the legislature that does taxing. It's not the president. People put it on the president, but it's the legislature. Trizzy said, how did Democrats scam you if Trump just passed BBB? Straw man point.
Strawberry cheesecake.
As I just explained for the fourth time here today, the president does not pass bills. The legislature passes bills. All the president does is sign it. Pathfinder said, the problem is the fact that I lost my spot here. Right when I was reading that comment, I lost my spot. Problem is the fact that billionaires are not paying their fair share. Define fair share. I disagree with you. Nino said, what's the solution? The solution to what? Some things don't have a clear solution. A clean solution is a better way of saying it. Hope said, exactly. Marketplace insurance is not free. No, it is not. Mrs. Watkins said, husband's a plumber, and when I became a teacher, it put us up to the bottom of the next tax bracket. Yes, exactly. That's what they do. They understand very well who they can tax and how much they can tax you. Courtney said, I used to sell insurance is definitely a scam. Well, yeah, it's a scam when you're paying for it. It's not a scam when you're selling it. I know a lot of people who sell insurance. Shout out to the insurance salespeople out there. Hope said, thank you for saying the truth. You're welcome. Christopher said, Dems passed Obama to fill healthcare exec, who in turn fill the pockets of Dems, a.k.a. money laundering. That's one way of looking at it, and I do not contest that point. Pathfinder said, drop it now and do what? You're talking about insurance? Drop it now and don't get sick. Don't get injured. Don't break your leg. Wag said, in many cases, medical care costs you less if you tell them you don't have insurance. Okay. Fair enough. I accept. Medical care costs you less if you're healthy. Is actually the best way to save on medical care is to be healthy. Okay, Sal, did y'all not hear the bill? That money is coming back to American. What are you referring to? Nisa, healthcare companies and insurance companies support and pay Democratic politicians and parties. Well, they do it to the Republicans too. Live Free said insurance is definitely a scam. I understand. I agree. T-Rose said Obamacare is a scam. Yeah, a lot of people think that. Pathfinder said the reason why the middle class is getting destroyed is because the top half are not being taxed. That's not why the middle class is getting destroyed. The middle class is getting destroyed because the way the dollar is going, the inflation is going up, the dollar's value is going down, and people's wages are not going up as quickly. So you're either going to be poor or you're going to be rich. That's the reason why the middle class is getting destroyed. Stephen Albert said, we all need to read the Constitution with comprehension. When you get done with that, start reading. Well, most people are not going to do that. Broham, thanks for the follow. Leona Lever, thank you for the share. Barbie said, the only one that benefited from Obamacare was Obama himself, still cashing in on it. No, a lot of people who didn't have health care, they're benefiting because now they have it and they don't have to pay for it. Chris said, yes, they most definitely keep strangling the middle class, the heart of the country, the taxpayer. This is true. Every time something free is given to the lower class, the middle class pays for it. Christopher said, Dems fill the pockets of healthcare execs, then the exec donate the Dems pockets, tax money laundering. I understand. Miss Mom said, all insurance is a scam. Okay. KB said, add home insurance to the scam list. All right, fair. LK said, Biden sold America out. See, people say that about every president, though. LK said, that's why Trump trying to get rid of it. Government's too big. Well, I know why Trump's trying to get rid of it for that and because he can position himself as being against Obama. And there are a lot of people who voted for him who didn't like Obama. Live Free said, anytime the government mandates anything, it's a scam. I agree with that. T-Rose said, property taxes are a scam. Paying rent for your own house. Yes, because it's not your house. That's why you got to pay taxes. Christopher said, we flee a king's taxation only to tax ourselves, make it make sense. No, this is the problem with government. The current constructed government. Helen, thanks for the follow. Chris said, just had this conversation with my young Jewish dentist yesterday. Fair enough. Marky Man said, higher education is a scam. Well, for some people is great because they use it and they leverage it and they go get themselves a job based on that degree. Johnny Amos said, I love your show, sir. Thank you, Johnny. T-Row said, no other country charges property taxes. I didn't know that, but it makes sense if it's true. K. Sarah said, vote for me, I'll give you free everything. Yeah, that's what they do. They sell you free. Pathfinder said, what is your solution to the healthcare crisis in the United States? The solution is RFK Jr., which is Make America Healthy Again. Maha. The solution is slowly making people more healthy so that people are not dependent on the medical system. The medical system, I believe, of all the scams, I think the medical system is the worst one. Between the legal system, the education system, and the medical system is the worst. Because they threaten your livelihood, they threaten your health and your life. The judicial system threatens your freedom. The educational system threatens your success. The medical system threatens your life. And what they do is they get you on interventions and pharmaceuticals that you can't get off of, because if you stop taking them, then you won't be able to live. And they get people hooked on these things, and they don't show you how to get off. They just get you on them, and they don't show you how to get off. And if people get healthy to where they don't need the pharmaceuticals, then they don't have to keep paying for it. And then the medical system's entire business model can fall apart. But you have to make America healthy again. So I think RFK Jr.'s approach, I'm not saying every single thing he says, because I don't know the details of everything he says, but his approach, which is get people healthy so they're no longer dependent on the medical system and no longer dependent on specifically big pharma, that will solve a big problem for a lot of Americans. Is that you don't want to be dependent on the medical system for anything, or the government, and or the judicial system, or the educational system. So I think y'all can get a pretty good feel for my approach here, because I say these things damn near every day. Knight said, taxes is a big scam. I understand. Chris said, in Maryland, we feel the burden here with the Democratic politicians. I get it, Chris, but y'all voted for them. Okay, so I said, Trump donates. Nobody wants to hear that. Biden sold us out. Obama ripped us off. All right, fair enough. T-Row said, Newsom can't take care of California. He wants to be president. Well, he might win. Don't laugh. Xavier said, this is going to make me save more. Okay, fair enough. Marky said, take your boy out for a donut. Yeah, he likes donuts. He only eats them when I eat them. I haven't had one in a while, but I might get one soon. Chris said, I do custom window treatments. When the economy is slow, I suffer. Okay, I understand, Chris. So you're selling basically what is a luxury purchase. So you're selling to high-end people. You're doing custom window treatments, selling to people who generally are recession proof. So any issue, I always tell entrepreneurs this, any sales problem is a marketing problem. So you just got to get in front of the right people, that even if there's a recession, they'll still buy. And those customers do exist. D-Dude said the stock market is going to collapse. I hope not. You should hope not. Because if the stock market collapses, then that's a reflection of pessimism in the market, which means that people aren't spending money. Karina, thank you for the gifts. The chili, ice cream cone, the goat. Nana said, I have 6 kids, 11 grandkids, 2 great grandkids. I'll be spending lots of money. See, the economy likes you. They like spenders. And so Amazon likes you. Target likes you. I don't know where else you spend money. Hoso says, Trump really going to give a stimulus check again? Yeah, we'll see. That's the legislature. It's not Trump. Trump will take credit for it, but it's the legislature that does that. They have to vote on it. Karina said, me and Amazon. Yes, I spend money on Amazon too. So shout out to Amazon. Dame K, thank you for the follow. T-Row said, unions in New York and California are bought by Democrats. Okay, fine. D-Dude said, Elon is great. And LK South said, Elon is great. Karina said, I see these free phones outside of Walmart in the hood, LOL. You see, I don't go to Walmart in the hood, so I would never see those phones. So I'll take your word for it. D-Dude said, there will be no Santa Claus rally this year. I disagree with you. There will be a Santa Claus rally. Charles Starr, thanks for the follow, especially if you give people a bunch of money at once. Okay, so I'll say, you said Trump would say he did something, is why I said that. Okay, I understand. A.D. Cone said, ACA is trash. The Supreme Court gave us ACA. Okay, I agree ACA is trash because of what it does to people who didn't have anything to do with it. Now they got to pay for it. 2 Pound Farm said, people were taxed if they didn't get Obamacare. IRS took my son's tax return. Yes, in certain places that did happen. I remember that. CD Legacy said, book for my young athlete. Get my book, The Mirror of Motivation, the self-guide, the self-discipline. This book is all about how to be who you need to be so you can do what you need to do, have what you want to have. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Text me the word mirror to the number in my bio, which is 305-384-6894, or go to mirrorofmotivation.com. The book is free. Just cover the shipping. CD Legacy 75. Get your athlete this book. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Get them that book. LK South said, I'd rather take care of myself. Well, everybody should take care of themselves. And the thing is, the Democratic Party likes to sell the idea of everyone being able to be taken care of, and they want you to pay for it. So any of you who can take care of yourselves, you're the one who's going to be subsidizing that taken care of for everybody else. And he said, how much is the fine for not having Obamacare? It depends on the state that you're in, how much money you make. It depends on several factors. There's no one number. Trizzy said, great point on that. How would you fix the system so they have to care? So the who has to care? And if you're talking about the governmental system, there is no fix. There's no fix that actually solves every problem. You solve one problem, you create a different problem. That's the way the system is designed. When you have a big bureaucratic, bloated entity like the government, you can't solve all the problems. Any problem you solve creates a different one. So it's just a matter of which problem are you okay with. That's what it comes down to. Tommy Lee said, yeah, vote for the people who are erasing your history. There's no such thing as erasing history. History is something that happened. You can't erase the fact that something happened. Now, you can erase the webpage that says that it happened. You can take down the statue that commemorates it, but you can't erase the fact that it occurred. So there's no such thing as erasing history. LK South says, not about the Dems or Republicans, it's Americans. I agree. Jay Rocker said, everyone complains about ACA. No one has been able to come up with an alternative. Jay Rocker, we had an alternative, which is no ACA. How were people living before the ACA? You paid your health care, and you paid based on what made sense to you. And all the ACA did was give health care to a bunch of people who couldn't afford health care, and it was paid for by the people who could afford it. So that's the solution. The solution is get rid of the ACA, and if you can't afford health care, it's tough break. Shit. I'm sorry you can't afford health care, but how is that my problem? That's the alternative, Jay Rocker. Just gave it to you. Sheriff said, I'm grateful for the ACA. I have liver disease and my pre-existing condition would disqualify me. And right after that, I understand, Sheriff, I understand you. At the same time, I do not believe in the Democratic position, this is often a Democratic position, that we need to give things to people who can't afford it, and who's going to pay for it is going to be everybody else. I don't agree with that. I don't have a problem with you getting what you need on a personal level. At the same time, I don't agree on the big picture point of everybody else should pay for it just because somebody else doesn't have it. And the government doesn't have the money. So the government sells the idea as if they're just giving it to you, but they can't because they don't have the money to give things away. Anytime the Democrats say they're going to give something away, there's strings attached to that. They're just not telling you the whole story. This is why Kamala lost in 2024. She was talking about all the things she was going to give away. Kamala doesn't have anything to give away. All she was going to do is take it from one person and give it to somebody else. So basically they're playing Robin Hood. Rob from the rich and give to the poor. But they mislead you as to what the rich actually means. The rich is not billionaires. The rich is anybody who can afford to pay their own bills, which is a lot of people. Jay Rocker said, unpaid medical bills are one of the biggest causes of debt in this country. That is correct. So then you can look at something like giving everybody health care. But there comes problems with that. There's no guaranteed one solution that solves every problem. There isn't one. So if anybody's looking for one, it doesn't exist. Tommy said the billionaires are living off us, looking at us. Look at Musk government contracts. Tommy Lee, that is completely false.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Elon Musk owns businesses that have created like 200,000 jobs. How are you saying he's living off us when he's the one giving jobs to 200,000 Americans whose average salary is $160,000 a year? That's ridiculous. Now, I know you probably heard that from some dumb Democrat politician, but it doesn't make sense. So please extinguish that belief. Jaden said, what do I think about Obamacare? I just explained. I don't like it. I don't like the concept of giving to people who don't have and having it paid for by the people who do have. That should be my personal choice, not something that is imposed upon me. Okay, South said, Elon is smart and built the company. Working hard pays off. He built more than one company. Trizzy said, that article was juking the stats. Larry Goldberg and who owns X. Larry Goldberg is on X and who owns X. Elon, that's fake news. That's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Trizzy, your frame here is that Larry Goldberg wrote his article on X and X is owned by Elon. And you're intimating that the only way somebody can say something on X about Elon is to be positive. Do you use X? You clearly don't, because there's a bunch of people on X trashing Elon every single day. So your frame is completely off. Hoso said, put the link in the chat. The links are not clickable here, so you would just have to go on X and look it up. Just look up economic impact Elon. You'll see it on X. His article was out yesterday. Elon retweeted it, so just go look at Elon's X feed, and he retweeted it himself. Tommy said, Elon Musk One man can pay SNAP benefits for 40 million people by himself. Let that sink in. Technically, that's not true. This is assuming that Elon Musk's net worth that you heard about is all in cash. It is not in cash.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
First of all, folks, when you hear about somebody being worth a certain amount of money, number one is an estimate. No one knows how much money another person is worth because net worth is all your assets minus your liabilities. So no, the Forbes magazine does not know what your liabilities are. So how can it know how much you're worth? It doesn't know. All they're doing is estimating. And secondly, when it comes to somebody like Elon Musk, big business owners, people like Elon Musk, most of his worth is in the value of his companies. That's not actual cash. That's not liquid. In other words, he can't just go have $500 billion in cash tomorrow by selling everything. It doesn't work that way. Elon probably has a lot of cash, but it ain't $500 billion. And SNAP benefits are not paid in cash. They're paid in benefits. So you get a card with a bunch of money on it. Then you take that card, you take it to the store and it acts as cash, but there's no cash actually being exchanged at all in most of those transactions. Okay, so Elon is not y'all baby daddy either. Sounds like jealousy. He works, he made a company. People saying that Elon could pay for XYZ just because he has it is a ridiculous, childish frame. I agree with you, LK Self. Just because he has it does not mean you're entitled to it. Where did people get this idea? So he got a lot of money, so that means he could pay my bills. Technically, he could pay your bills, but why should he? Why don't you pay his bills? Trizzy said, we give Elon so much subsidies, it comes from us, the taxpayer. And you know what Elon gives back? I just explained it. Elon has 200,000 employees who make an average of $160,000 a year. So we are not giving to him. He's giving to us. How many employees you got and how much do they make? And so if you're going to compare yourself to Elon, what you are paying to Elon, look at how much money you pay in taxes. Now, take all the taxes that you pay all year, take that number, and then compare it to how much Elon pays just to one employee, $160,000 a year. Which number is bigger? So who's giving to who? Mary Griffin, thanks for the follow. Tommy said, Elon made his billions off tax payout dollars. Remember, Obama bailed him out from going under Texas. No, he did not make his billions, Tesla, he said. Elon did not make his billions from tax payout dollars. That's ridiculous. Elon made his billions from selling products and services to people who wanted them. How many Teslas do you see in the street? He made his billions because he created products and services that people like us want and we pay for. I see a Tesla damn near every other car where I live. So no, to say that he made his billions in some non-honest way just because he has a whole bunch of money. Again, many of you have been sold a bill of goods that when someone makes a whole lot of money, they must have did something wrong. And therefore, on the flip side, that means that anybody who doesn't have a bunch of money, they must be doing the right thing. This is how many of you get indoctrinated into being poor and broke. That the poor and broke person must be good because they don't have any money, and the rich person must be bad because look at all the money they got. If you look around at movies and cartoons and TV shows, you notice that the bad guy is always somebody rich. Notice that the Joker was rich. Scrooge McDuck was rich. The bad guy in the Jetsons, Mr. What was his name? Spacely Sprockets. He was rich. All the bad guys are always rich. The Joker in the Batman movie was rich. What was that guy's name? Man, I can't remember the dude's name. Ocean's 11. The guy who played the bad guy, Terry Benedict. He was rich. Notice that the bad guy is always a rich guy. So all of you have been indoctrinated your entire lives that being rich somehow makes you a bad guy. All right, they have sold you a bill of goods that being broke is some type of positive thing. No, it's not. Or being poor is some type of positive thing. So therefore, the rich guy must be a bad guy and he must be taken from you. That's how he got rich. Rich people create the jobs that you work at. How'd you get that job? Who created that company? Who's signing your checks? Have you ever shook that person's hand? A rich person created that job. So you wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for that rich person. So to demonize them is ridiculous, but this has been sold to a whole bunch of people, and the internet only makes it worse because it's easy to pass around out of context information to people who don't think. Katie L. Barrow, thank you for the share. Tommy L said, I'm talking crazy. No, I'm talking logical. If I got something logically wrong, tell me what I got wrong. So a few more comments we'll take here, folks. We're already over time, but I'll take a few more. Where was I? I lost my spot in the comments again. So, all right. I think we can get through the rest of these, then we'll wrap this up. JB Smith said, is the IRS illegal? There are arguments about that. We'll see where it goes. Emmanuel Marauchi, hi from Italy. Shout out to Italy. Italy is in the building. Eunice Owada, thank you for the follow. Well-known stranger said the legislators author laws, but they aren't enacted until signed, right? That is correct. But they get to put the law together. Understand the president doesn't come in and say, put this, this, and this in the law. Technically, he can say it, but most of the details of every law is organized in the legislature. All they do is they author the bill, is not the law. They offer a bill, and when it gets signed, it becomes a law. So who gets credit for the law is the legislature. If any of you is mad about any new laws, be mad at the legislature, not the president. The president is a figurehead. They can't do anything without the support of the legislature. The legislature is 535 people. They design it that way because it's harder to keep track of. It's easy to keep track of one person, the president. We had Trump, we had Obama, we had Biden, we had Bush. In the last 25 years, 4 people. Easy to keep track of one person. Now name as many senators and Congress people as you can. It's 535 of them. How many can you name? All right, that's where the game is played, is in the legislature. The bill that they just passed to end the government shutdown is 900 pages long, and the Democrats admitted that they didn't read the fucking bill. They didn't even realize something was in it until after it got posted. I just gave y'all that context about an hour ago. They didn't even read it. And these are your lawmakers. These are the people that you voted for to make the law. The legislature makes the laws. That's not in question. Extra NM said insurance working with government have too much control. I agree if you get into the insurance game. I do agree with that. Extra NM said medical also has too much control. There are no set charges. I agree with that as well. That's why I say the medical industry is a scam. I think they're the biggest scam. Of all the scams, the medical industry is the worst one because they threaten your life. All the other ones you can recover from. You can recover from a bad education or a bad legal outcome. You can't recover from dying. That's why I don't like the medical industry the worst. They're the ones I dislike the most. Felicia said welfare already had medical set in place for those who didn't have it. Okay, fair enough. LK said Trump didn't like Obamacare. He never mentioned Obama. Donald Trump mentioned Obama a lot in 2016. Extra said when you don't need insurance, they don't pay. Exactly. That's another reason why they're a scam. MJ said, what about car insurance? Is that a scam too? Technically, you can look at any insurance as a scam, depending on how you frame it. And one thing that makes car insurance a scam is that it's required. Now, if it was optional, it wouldn't be a scam. Because when they require you to have it, then that makes it a scam because they're forcing you to pay for something that you might never need. By definition, that makes it a scam. Because you're forced to pay for it, even though you may not want it. So they're making you pay for it. That's extortion. It's like the mafia. It's like Tony Soprano sending his guys to make you pay for quote unquote protection. That's literally what car insurance is, protection, right? J Rocket said people are lazy, undisciplined, don't take care of themselves. That's correct. And most people fit that description, J Rocket, which is why the government is needed to help them out. User said, I'm a nurse for 35 years. Medical system is trash. It's all about money. I agree. And you work there. I don't even work there and I know it's trash. So thank you for telling us that. J Rocket said people need to keep themselves healthy but have very poor habits. Exactly. That's the reason why the medical industry thrives, because there are a bunch of people who don't understand this, or they don't want to understand it because it requires discipline. Discipline is hard work. Mary Griffin said, what's my take on the V word, the jab? Not a fan. I generally don't have a problem with V words. If you want to take one, take one. And just like I said about the medical industry or the car insurance industry, you should never be forced into doing something that you don't want to do. America is the land of the free, home of the brave. If you don't want car insurance, you shouldn't have to pay for it. If you don't want medical insurance, you shouldn't have to pay for it. If you don't want the jab, you shouldn't have to take it. And in 2020, that's when a lot of people got a lot of new ideas about the jab. The definition of the V word was you take this, you will not get the sickness. That was the accepted idea on the V word. Then when the virus came around, all of a sudden they changed the definition of the V word to make the people who got forced into taking that jab or duped into taking the jab not feel stupid. So they changed the definition of the word to say, oh, now it means it won't be as bad. You'll get it, but it won't be as bad. It's bullshit. There's somebody in my family. I won't say exactly who. They took the jab. They took the jab that you had to get 2 shots. I think it was Johnson & Johnson. They took 2 of those. They got all the boosts. They got like 5 shots. They got the virus anyway. They were sick for like 2 months. I went and saw this person in person, and they said, good thing I got the jab because it would have been worse. I didn't say anything because it's not even worth trying to change the mind of people who have been brainwashed by nonsense. So that's my take on the V word. I like the V word when it's optional. I don't like when they try to force it upon you or they try to scare you into taking it. And that's another reason why I don't like the medical system, because they try to scare you into doing things that you don't need just so that they can get you to do stuff and they get you under their control. This also happens with childbirth. How many of you women have given birth by C-section because the doctor told you they feared for your life or the life of your child? If they didn't do that operation on your body, you can't have a natural birth. You got to have a C-section. Otherwise, something bad might happen to you. They lied to you, and they used your emotions against you to get you to do the C-section, because the C-section is a major surgery. And they did that so they can get your baby out of you and get you out of that hospital bed as quickly as possible so they can get the next person in the bed. Why? Because the more people they put in the bed, the more money they make. That's the hustle. Another reason why I don't like, I could give a whole, as you can see, I could talk a lot about the medical industry. I'm not a fan at all. And I know a lot of people who are doctors and nurses. Some of them are coaching clients of mine. I don't have a problem with them. You're just part of the game. Same way I know a whole lot of educators, and I don't like the educational system. The systems I'm not a fan of, which is why I recommend everybody stay out of these systems as much as you can. LK South, I appreciate you. Jay Rocker said, people complain about insurance but are quick to run the emergency room for treatment. I agree with that. I agree with that. Ann said, your books will be good gifts. That's a good idea, Ann. I agree with you. Mirrorofmotivation.com. This book is free. Just cover the shipping. Mirrorofmotivation.com. JB Smith said, I thought Trump got rid of the fine for not having insurance. Well, the legislature gets rid of things. Trump doesn't do anything. He co-signs it and takes credit for it. And it depends on where you live. It depends on several different factors. It's not a black and white thing. Barb said, my grandson is starting his own business and I am buying him yearbooks for Christmas. What kind of yearbook? What does that mean? The only yearbook I know is the one you get when you graduate from high school. I don't think that's what you're talking about. Nothing is free in this world except ACA. And that ain't free either. Nothing's free. Miss Jennifer said, I want to keep my own taxes. Me too. Best way you can do it is to shelter your money by being an investor or a business owner if you're not already. That's the best way you can keep as much money as possible of your tax dollars. If you're an employee, they just take it from you. You don't have a say. Marky Man said, why couldn't they just do away with the prior conditions exclusively? And that's a question that could take, somebody could write a whole book answering that question. Miss Jennifer said, I'd rather help the poor. Fair enough. I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to help the poor if you do it on your own volition and in your own way. I don't like when the government extorts you and then they do it their way. Extra NM said, how does Canada manage so they have free healthcare? You should ask somebody in Canada. Or you go watch that Michael Moore documentary where he makes it seem perfect. You ever seen that Michael Moore documentary where he goes to Canada to get healthcare? OG Bobby Johnson said, people don't want to take accountability for the situation they're in. Well, yes, that's life right there. You just explained human nature in one sentence. Chris Novak said, if you want to tax the rich, which is impossible, all we do is take jobs away. Yeah, pretty much. KB said, I love this show. Me too. Sherry said, if I want to help others, it should be my gift, not the government taking from me. I agree. And the government is very inefficient, and the government takes their cut in the process. So if the government takes $100 from you, maybe $50 might make it to the poor, and the other $50 goes to the government. Why not just take your $100 yourself and do it yourself? That's the way I would prefer. If you want to help the poor, do it yourself without the government's involvement. Trizzy said, my frame is not all. Study shows X more right content, which isn't a problem IMO. Yeah, your frame is off. I explained exactly why I was a straw man. Now you're moving the goalpost to try to make a different point. Stacey George said, Canadians come to Seattle for medical because government runs out of money around September. That's interesting. Philly Viv says, always stated estimated net worth. No one truly knows someone else's finances. Yes, and Philly Viv, you understand most people take that net worth and they really believe that it's true. And a lot of people don't even realize what net worth is. So they think that means Elon actually has $500 billion in cash sitting in a Bank of America account, which is not the situation. Chrissy says, God bless the rich, but commands they employ the not rich be a good master boss. Well, someone who is the rich, let's say somebody like Elon. To get that rich, you have to have a bunch of employees running your business because you can't work that hard on your own. So he has an employee not rich. He only had to think about it. He just does it. Eunice from Algeria is in the building. Shout out to Algeria. Jenny said the percentage isn't the same. Percentage of what? What are you referring to? Chrissy says single mom, son in home, too old to claim, homeowner. Work 2 jobs, 1 W-2, 1 SE, most taxed and still paying. Yeah, so they're getting you in more than one way, pretty much is what they're doing. They're getting you coming in, they're getting you coming out. KB said, I got a Tesla and made big bucks in his stocks. Thanks, Elon. That's great. The big point there is that first of all, that you own a Tesla, because people like Tesla. Tesla is a very popular car. You get an Uber down here in South Florida, everybody's driving a damn Tesla. Damn near every other Uber is a Tesla. And you made bucks in his stocks, which means you're an investor. You invested in the company's value went up, you made money. Remember when everybody was talking about Tesla stock is going down? Remember that in like March, everybody was like, yeah, Tesla stock is dropping. Yeah, it's not dropping anymore. We'll look up Tesla stock. I looked it up a few days ago when I saw somebody on X sounding stupid, saying that they were asking why is Elon getting that package for $1 trillion? Elon's getting that package for $1 trillion because Tesla stock over the last 5 years is up 203%. There you go, right there. In the last 5 years, Tesla stock went from, what was it? This day, 5 years ago, Tesla stock was $136 a share. Today it's $412 a share. All right, so y'all know how to do math. All right, the stock is up 203% over the last 5 years. This is why Elon's getting $1 trillion, because he's made a whole bunch of people rich. That's why. You want $1 trillion, make a bunch of people rich, they'll give you the same amount. Christy, congrats, member level 12. A few more comments, folks, and then we'll wrap this up. I do need to go. The next day of my Power Presence Challenge is today. Those of you who are not in it, go to powerpresenceprotocol.com. Be in the next one, or just jump into the mastermind, because that's the next step is the mastermind. Mario said, to be fair, Bruce Wayne is a billionaire. Who's Bruce Wayne? J-Rock says, Scrooge McDuck wasn't a bad guy. He was just a grumpy old man. Yeah, exactly. He was a grumpy old man. That's the way they frame it. They frame rich people as being mean, angry, and bad guys. Oh, Bruce Wayne. You mean Bruce Wayne in the movie? He was a rich guy? Okay. Mario said, other than the Batman statement, I agree with you. So the Joker wasn't rich. Did I get that wrong? The Joker did not have money? California Poppy, thanks for the follow. California Poppy, appreciate it. The Watcher said, I don't think most of them read past what they add to it. Yeah, they don't. It's not even think. We pretty much know now. Trizzy says 900 pages. Our legislators only have 9 minutes to read it. Yes, which should alarm us because they're sending things as bills to the president. Donald Trump damn sure ain't reading it, and they're becoming law, and we don't even know what's in it until it starts affecting us. That's why it's crazy. Stacy said, how is your little one? He is so cute when he's in your office. He was here at the beginning, Stacy. I think you missed it. He was here for a while, and then he left. Big Sam says, so insurance was optional. Who would pay if you hit someone? Well, all the people who decide to pay for insurance anyway. There would still be a lot of customers because there's a bunch of people who want insurance. They want protection just in case. A lot of people would still buy. I don't like the concept of it being forced upon you. As a general rule, you make a legitimate point, Big Sam, but I think there will be enough customers that it would still make sense. Carla said they changed the definition. People act like they don't remember. They absolutely changed the definition of the V word. So Jay Rocker, you asked the same question Big Sam asked, so I just answered it. Big Sam said insurance is not the scam, the greed is the scam. Well, insurance is the vehicle for the greed, especially when it comes to the medical industry. I'm not even talking about the cars. The medical industry, absolutely, because they'll even deny your claim. In the car world, if you get in a car crash, they don't deny your claim. They pay for your car. In the medical industry, you could be paying insurance for years, then you get a medical issue, and then they won't even pay. That's a scam. That doesn't happen usually with cars. It does happen with the medical system. Trizzy said you shouldn't be spreading misinformation. Oh boy, bye. Everybody knows that happened in 2020. That one is not even to be, and that's not misinformation. That happened. That's a factual that's just factual reality. Bree's mom said C-section, you stay longer in the hospital. Not necessarily. What if you have a labor that takes 24 hours? C-section, you may not have to stay longer. It depends on how quickly you recover. And the thing about the C-section is they know when the baby's coming out. If you're just in labor, they don't know when the baby's going to come out because they can't make it come out unless they give you a pharmaceutical to force that labor to happen, which can hurt your baby. If you just have a natural birth, no pharmaceuticals, no nothing being forced, it can take as long as it takes, which is how it's supposed to happen. The hospitals will try to make it happen by either inducing you by putting something in your body, which goes into your baby, or they'll open you up and pull the baby out, both of which are unnatural births. And they do that because they're trying to get the baby out as quickly as possible, but they sell it to you by making you feel like something's going to happen to you or your baby if you don't do it. That's emotional blackmail. That is a scam. And they're threatening your life or the life of your baby in order to push the idea through. That's why it's a scam. Jamie said, I made $245K and I work nonstop. I hate that people think that I owe something to my hard work. I agree with you. Oh, the books. Yes. Mirrorofmotivation.com. My love for my family is free and no one can take it. Apple user said, mirrorofmotivation.com. Books free, just cover the shipping. Mary said, will they ever cut income tax? Well, depending on who you ask, Donald Trump does it for the rich all the time. That's a joke. G Black, thanks for the lightning bolt. All right, we're not going past 10:30, folks. Then we'll wrap this up. Yes, thank you everybody for liking the live. We're at 173,000. Annie said, love this live. Also wish it lasted longer. Like till lunch would be great. Yeah, well, I got to eat lunch. Talking for this much time takes more energy than it feels like it seems like it takes until you get done talking. You're like, damn, just sitting and talking takes energy. Trizzy said, the guy's name is Larry Tesla. Do you think he is really not biased? Well, he has the actual data in there. How can you say he's biased? He put the actual data in there. I don't think his name is Larry Tesla. I think he calls himself Larry Tesla. But let me see if I can find what the guy who I was referring to. His name is not Larry Tesla. His screen name is Tesla Larry. But again, some people really love Tesla. The same way some people identify with LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or Apple or Amazon. He calls himself Tesla Larry as his screen name. His name is actually Larry Goldberg. He's the managing partner at a company called Luma Center. He's an entrepreneur. And he wrote a book called The Decision Model. So if you think he's biased, read his book and tell us what he got wrong. Cure fan said, not enough people were willing to donate their money to the poor, so the government makes them. Yeah, and I don't like that idea. I disagree with that. Trainer man said, not a fan of your sound machine. That's fine.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Karina said, people swore that stock was irrevocable. Yeah, so it was down for a couple of weeks and people were acting like this was the end of Elon. And they were saying he should step down from the board and step down from ownership of Tesla and step down from being the main decision maker. All those people are pretty quiet now. Trizzy said, Joker stole a bunch of money. J Rocket said, Bruce Wayne is Batman. Yeah, I know that. I was saying the Joker. I wasn't saying Batman. I was saying the Joker. Chris Novak said, thank you. And yes, I'm going to think about ways to get in front of the right customers for my business. Chris, come over to Work on Your Game University. We work with people on doing exactly that. That's my main business. My main business is not talking about this political shit. I just do this because it's fun. Tanwell says she's saying that because she works for the insurance company. Maybe. Queen said, I had a C-section that was gone the next day. But the reason they want the C-section is so they know that you're going to leave. They try to schedule it so that they can get another person in that bed because more people in beds makes them money. The medical industry is driven by money, as are many others. Murphy the Mutt, you're welcome. Tez NY said, I missed the live. Is this recorded? Yes, it's on YouTube. I'm on YouTube right now. So yes, it is being recorded. Carla said, my daughter was footling and breech, tried to turn her, but she went back. Fair enough. I'm not saying every C-section is them scamming you, but many of them are. This is why so many people have C-sections now. Why the number of C-sections has gone up significantly in the last 40 years. It's not all of a sudden every baby has a problem. J Rocket said, what's the alternative? Don't want forced insurance, but undisciplined with health. Can't have both. Yeah, then mofos are going to die. That's the alternative. Turner Frank said, appreciate you. Have a good day. Thank you. Jamie said, you're my new favorite. Thank you. You're welcome. Eunice said, I'm from Algeria. Can I follow? Yeah, you're on TikTok. Does the follow button work? Just hit the follow button and you can follow me. And there you go. Happy Retta said, have a great day from a fan in Alaska. Love tuning in. Shout out to Alaska. I've never been to Alaska. There's one U.S. state I have not been to. Annie said, sad, but completely understand. You got to give people free will. People have free will to do what they want to do. And if they choose to use their free will in ways that hurts them and shortens their life, they got a right to do that. And it's not the government's responsibility to step in and stop them from doing it. If that's what they want to do. Free will is granted to you by God, not by the government. Marcus said, no triple doubles today. Well, actually, the real triple double was AOC. AOC got the triple double, but she's not here, so I didn't give the award out. AOC had the triple double today. She had non sequitur, she had a couple straw mans, and she had emotional, the appeal to emotion all at once. So I'll just play it in honor of AOC, who is not here, so somebody can accept this award on her behalf.
Oh, baby, it's triple. Oh, yeah.
Happy Reddit said, wait till summer to visit Alaska. It touch cold here. I would never visit Alaska in the winter unless somebody I really cared about was dead and the funeral was in Alaska. Other than that, I would not come to Alaska in the winter. That wouldn't happen. And my YouTube is at Dre All Day. At Dre All Day is my YouTube. By the way, those who want to work with me directly, place that we are focused right now is the Power Presence Protocol. That is where we help you master the 85% of communication that is nonverbal. Most communication is not what you say. It is not your script. If you want to get better at closing sales, you want to make more money, you want to raise your prices, you want to have more leadership, you want to have more authority, you want people to know you, like you, trust you, and remember you, and leave an imprint on people without saying a single word. What you need to master is your presence, not your words, not your scripts, your presence. How do you do that? We have a whole program on it called the Power Presence Protocol. It is all about helping people understand who you are, what you are, and doing your communication without saying a word. People make judgments about you within the first 10 seconds of engaging with you. Even if you never say a single word to them and they decide who you are, they craft a story about you in your mind, in their mind. You want to control that story through your unconscious, unspoken communication. That is what the Power Presence is about. We teach people how to do that. I teach people how to do that in my challenge and also in my mastermind. You want to get into the mastermind, go to the link in my profile. It'll give you more information about that. If you want to get one of my books, the book you can get today that I'm talking about is The Mirror of Motivation.com. Mirrorofmotivation.com, not the word the in the title. Mirrorofmotivation.com is where you get this book. It's free. Send a text to me. My number is 305-384-6894. Any of you want a link to all the live stuff that I have, my YouTube channel, my text message number. I just gave you my text message number, my YouTube channel, all my other social medias. You want to get into the Power Presence Protocol, just text the word live, LIVE, to my number. My number again, 305-384-6894. Send a text to that number. My YouTube's on there. Everything's on there. My YouTube channel is Dre All Day. Yes. Or you can just look up Dre Baldwin. I'm pretty easy to find. Any social media platform, I'm on all of them. Just look up Dre Baldwin. All my profiles are public. My name is Dre, D-R-E. Last name Baldwin, B-A-L-D-W-I-N. So just look my name up on any platform. I'm easy to find. So LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on all of them. Just look my name up. I'm everywhere. There's nobody else out there, at least not known people with the same name as me. So you won't get me confused with anybody else. Appreciate all the moderators in here today, consistently keeping the audience under control. We like the dissenters. We take it. I appreciate the dissenters pushing back. Appreciate everybody with the gifts and the likes and everybody with the comments. We went overtime today. I usually do these 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if you like this one, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday is the time. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday is when I do my lives. So I will be here tomorrow. Next week, I know I'm going to miss Tuesday. Tuesday I'm going to miss because I have a prior engagement on Tuesday. But every other day next week we'll be here. Tomorrow we'll be here as usual. So I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Oh, yeah, I heard about that lady who kissed Jasmine Crockett's shoe. She thinks she had shoes on when she did it. But yeah, that was crazy. Anyway, I will see everybody tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Everybody have a great day. We out of here. Work on your game.